Chapter 66. She stayed in the hospital for another week. The two of them went through the discharge procedures. Because they were not New Han citizens, they could not enjoy New Han's medical insurance and had to pay for it themselves. It cost 63,000 Chinese yuan. Not cheap. Converted into Dragon country currency, it was almost 160,000. This was the hospitalization fee. Including the time she spent in New Han, the total cost was no less than 180,000 renminbi. But for Lin Shichin, whose family's annual salary was as high as 3 million Hong Kong dollars, this amount of money was nothing. Salary has increased to this level in a few years, let alone 63,000 Chinese yuan. Even if it was 500,000 Chinese yuan, as long as her daughter's face could be fixed, she would think it was worth spending any amount of money. Seeing her daughter's face regain her old smile, she made up her mind to go back and thank the person who recommended her. Otherwise, how could her daughter's appearance be restored to its original state? What she didn't know was that the benefactor she wanted to thank had an additional income of 10,000 Hong Kong dollars in his account at this moment. In order to open up the market, the initial commission was very high. 5% of the patient's treatment costs can be shared. Of course, this is only for overseas. In China, that is, in Xinhan, there is no commission. To put it bluntly, Xiao Yunhai's plastic surgery hospital is mainly for foreign customers, not for making money from domestic people. So, there is no strong promotion and marketing in Xinhan. Hong Kong. The Xiao family. Wow, Nanyang, where did you do this surgery? It's so good. There's no trace at all. And it's still so beautiful, tell me. I'll do it too. After returning to Hong Kong, Xiaonan couldn't wait to call her former friend to her home to share her inner joy. If you want to do it, you have to go abroad. Go abroad? Where? Britain? Or the United States? Xiaonan shook his head. It was done in Xinhan, Southeast Asia, at a hospital called Xinhan Plastic Surgery Hospital. My mother took me there. How is it? Isn't it beautiful? More than beautiful. She is a big beauty, much more beautiful than those so-called stars. The friend's eyes were full of envy. Women, who doesn't want to be beautiful? Tell me how you feel, and what are the medical conditions of the plastic surgery hospital you mentioned? How much does it cost to make you look like this? Yes, Nan, tell me. Don't hide it. At the urging of his three friends, Zhao Nan began to talk about his trip. In fact, when I went there, I didn't have much hope. You know, I went to many hospitals in Hong Kong, and they said they couldn't do it. It was my mother who insisted on dragging me there, so I thought about giving it a try. 7:53, when I got there, I found that the hospital was quite large and formal, and the service attitude was very good. Many foreigners came. After the operation, I just felt a little swelling on my face, which lasted for 3 to 5 days, and then it started to slowly subside. Overall, it felt very good. As for the cost, I heard from my mother that it seemed to cost 220,000 Hong Kong dollars, but my mother didn't know the exact amount. 220,000 Hong Kong dollars, not cheap? The three women couldn't help but smack their lips when they heard the price. Their families are not as good as Xiaonan's. After all, Xiaonan's father is a barrister. Lawyers in Hong Kong, especially barristers, have high salaries. Their parents are just white-collar workers in companies or department managers. Their parents' combined salary is only 1 million Hong Kong dollars a year. Some families don't even have that much. It's quite expensive, but their skills are really good. They said that if it's not successful, they won't charge. Besides, I've done more surgery on more places, and the situation is more serious. Normal microplastic surgery shouldn't cost so much. The three girls heard her say that and thought about it carefully. Xiaonan spent more than 200,000 because she had a large area of burns, and her shoulders and hands were also burned. It costs so much for multiple places. If it was just a normal microplastic surgery, it would definitely not cost so much. Thinking of this, the three girls smiled. Nan, introduce your doctor to me. If I want to have plastic surgery in the future, I will find her. Yes, Nan, recommend your miracle doctor to us. Just when Zhao Nan shared the joy of her successful plastic surgery with a few good sisters, Lin Shichin also received a call. It was from Xinhan Plastic Surgery Hospital. After hearing that it was the hospital calling, Lin Shichin became nervous and thought that there was something wrong with her daughter's surgery. Ms. Lin, it's not what you think. We called this time mainly to consult you. Our hospital and Hong Kong TVB have made an interview program. We hope to interview you and your daughter. I don't know if it's convenient. Don't worry, we are not interviewing for free. We will pay for it. Hearing that it was just an interview and there was no problem with her daughter's surgery, Lin Shichin secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Forget about the money. I am very happy to cooperate. It's just that I need to go back to my daughter in the evening to ask for her opinion. If she agrees, it will be fine. Lin Shurqin didn't want to be interviewed in her heart, but it was the hospital that called, and it was hard to refuse. After all, they cured their daughter's face. And if they refused, what if there was a problem in the future? What if they didn't accept the diagnosis? So, after thinking for a moment, she didn't refuse. No problem, I understand. I'll talk to you tomorrow morning. Is that okay? Lin Shurqin, okay. In the evening, Lin Shurqin told her daughter about the matter. Don't be ambitious. If you don't want to participate, Mom will help you refuse tomorrow. Seeing her daughter silent, Lin Shurqin thought her daughter was unwilling. After all, after such things are exposed, they will attract strange looks. Xiaonan asked, Mom, did they say to compare the previous photos? No, Lin Shurqin thought about it and shook her head. She doesn't remember the other party saying that. Xiaonan smiled and said, that's it. As long as the previous photos are not exposed, I agree. Lin Shurqin was still a little worried. Don't consider it again? No, Xiaonan shook his head. After the interview is broadcast, I believe it will bring hope and good things to many people who were like me before. Okay. Seeing her daughter's firm eyes, Lin Shurqin stopped persuading. She just hugged her daughter and said softly, Mom, my good daughter, you are becoming more and more sensible. Xiaonan leaned in her mother's arms and said softly, Mom, you have worked hard these years. Lin Shurqin reached out and touched her daughter's long hair and said softly, silly child, I am your mother and I should do all these. Xiaonan leaned obediently in her mother's arms. A few days later, Hong Kong TVB broadcast a picture of Xiaonan being interviewed on a talk show. In the picture, Lin Shurqin and her daughter sat in 2 interview seats, and a well-known TVB host interviewed them. Ms. Lin, how did you think of taking your daughter abroad for medical treatment? Did you choose it from the beginning? It was also introduced by a friend to go abroad. I didn't plan to go at first. You know, the medical level in Hong Kong is still very good, so I have been looking for relevant surgical experts in Hong Kong, but I have been looking for many unsatisfactory ones and have been rejected many times. I see. Which hospital did you go to Xingxinhan? It's a hospital called Xinghan Plastic Surgery. I was actually quite nervous before I went there. After all, I had never heard that Xinghan had good plastic surgery skills. What about the results? Are you satisfied with the results? Very satisfied. Much better than I thought. Ms. Zhao, were you afraid when you were on the operating table? Of course I was afraid. After all, it was going to be a surgery on my face. How could I not be afraid? I heard from your mother that you were very nervous when you removed the gauze, and it was a little unbelievable when you saw the changes in your appearance in the mirror. Yes, it was indeed a little unbelievable at the time. Before that, my mother took me to many hospitals, and the doctor said that it couldn't be done until I went to Xinghan and saw Dr. Luo. At that time, after he looked at the situation, he said firmly that he could do it. Although I was happy at the time, I didn't believe he could really do it. However, after the operation, it was successful. Here I have to thank Dr. Luo Ming. He saved me and made me interested in life again. So, I really should thank Dr. Luo Ming. Yes, after the interview video was broadcast, it caused a lot of heated discussion. Saya, especially those near the Zhao family. Everyone knows that the daughter of the Zhao family was burned and had scars on her arms. Now seeing Zhao and talking on the TV screen, many people were shocked. Oh my God, is this still Xiaonan? How did she become beautiful all of a sudden? Like a big star. After watching the show, this is a look of sudden realization appeared on his face. He sighed that the doctor who performed the operation on Xiaonan was too awesome. The news was broadcast, which caused a heated response in Hong Kong, so that a large number of people went to Xinghan Chang'an to seek plastic surgery and become beautiful. It laid the foundation for the development of Xinghan's plastic surgery industry. As these people went to Xinghan, after they became beautiful through surgery, Dashi 5 helped with marketing for free after returning to China. It gradually spread in the entertainment circle, model circle, and noble lady circle, causing countless old and ugly rich wives to make up their minds and spend money to go to Xinghan for surgery to make them more beautiful and younger. As the news fermented, more and more people knew about this. As a result, more and more people and tourists chose to go to Xinghan. Indirectly created income for the people of Xinghan. In just 1 month after the interview video was broadcast, the number of people going to Xinghan from the mainland of China and Hong Kong increased by 270%, reaching more than 30,000 people. Of course, some of them went to Xinghan to work or travel, not all for plastic surgery. In addition, Xinhan and Longhua are visa-free, so there is no need to go to South Korea to apply for a visa. It is late October. Jiangning County, Industrial Park. The factories of Xinhai Battery Technology Company, Limited, Xinhai Technology Company, Limited, and Xinhai Automobile have been completed, and Xiao Yunhai attended the ribbon-cutting ceremony. After a lively atmosphere, Xiao Yunhai had the local government personnel and some idle people dismissed, and then he came to a factory. He opened the system. In the system talent recruitment panel, a 50-person battery technology R&D team, a 200-person drone R&D team, and 100 simultaneous interpretation R&D personnel were recruited. One of them was appointed as the head of the two companies, and the technical information of a new type of graphene plus battery, purchased from the system, Dajiang drones, and simultaneous interpretation software-related technical information were all handed over to them. Afterwards, Xiao Yunhai came to the factory allocated to Xinhai Automobile Manufacturing Company Old Rules, directly recruited a 1,000-person automotive technology R&D team and a 500-person workshop technical worker. The R&D team must have its own people, and as for the workshop, it can just recruit from outside on a large scale. Anyway, there is no technology that cannot be leaked, and the automobile factory can bring tens of thousands of jobs to the local area, and these tens of thousands of people can indirectly drive thousands of jobs. And it can also create huge tax revenue for the local area. Don't underestimate the driving ability of an automobile factory. The investment of Series has contributed nearly 100 billion yuan to the GDP of Chongqing, which is equivalent to more than 10 billion US dollars. You must know that Series' sales volume is 230,000 vehicles. This number is not much. According to his plan, he is confident that Xinhan Automobile Company can achieve annual sales of 20 billion US dollars. Moreover, in his plan, Xinhan Automobile Company, making cars is only the first step. In the future, it will also increase military industry, develop wheeled armored vehicles and tanks, strive to achieve the independence of the automobile industry, reduce imports, and add a new product for export. What's more, he now has battery technology that is several times more powerful than lithium batteries. If it is a new energy vehicle, it can completely kill all fuel vehicles. But it is not necessary. If fuel cars are eliminated, the demand for oil in the world will drop a lot. Xinhan is an oil country, so there is no need to do so. Moreover, eliminating fuel cars now will only make enemies. If others do not open their markets, it is completely meaningless to rely on Xinhan's own market. Recruiting personnel. He also exchanged the design drawings of the tank models of a certain city's future SUV brand and related technical research and development materials, such as hybrid technology, from the system, and exchanged the exterior design drawings of the models of Porsche, Ferrari, Cadillac, and other car brands in the next decade. Whether the appearance of the car is beautiful is particularly important. This can be seen from the new energy vehicles launched by a certain company. As long as the appearance is good enough, there are many people who are willing to impulse buy cars. With the technical information, the remaining is the automatic production line equipment. This time, Xiao Yunhai also spent tens of millions of points to buy it. After handing the equipment to the workers, Xiao Yunhai brought Yang Zheng, who had just been appointed as the general manager of the automobile company, to a brand new office. Then he took out the exterior drawings of the four models, namely the Tank 300, Cadillac CT5, Mercedes-Benz AMG GT, and Maserati 2021, and handed them to the other party. Mr. Yang, my suggestion is that the appearance of your four previous models can be built according to the appearance of these four cars. These four models, Xiao Yunhai believes that the aesthetics are very online, absolutely suitable for the public's aesthetics. Yang Zheng looked at the design drawings and said, Your Highness, if you build them according to the appearance of these four cars, my suggestion is to set up two brands. This model called Mercedes-Benz AMG GT and Maserati 2021. Just from the appearance, you can see that they are high-end cars. My suggestion is to take the high-end route. Xiao Yunhai smiled and said, Your idea coincides with mine. That's what I mean. Set up two brands, one to follow the Volkswagen route, with a pricing range of 50,000 Han Yuan to 150,000 Han Yuan. A luxury car with a price range of 200,000 to 500,000 Yuan, comparable to foreign car brands such as Maserati and Porsche. In addition, my suggestion is to build the Tank 300 model as the first car, which is more suitable for our Xinhan's national conditions. Xinhan has a lot of mountainous terrain, with only some plains in the coastal areas, and most of it is mountainous, and the traffic road network is not very good. In this case, he believes that SUV cars are more in line with the needs. Moreover, after they are really produced, they can also be equipped with police forces or used as border patrol vehicles. Chapter 67. In general, if he had to choose between an SUV and a sedan, he would choose an SUV. After telling Yang Zheng about the matter, Xiao Yunhai left. How to do it? How to produce it is Yang Zheng's business, and he, an outsider, should not command the insiders. At the end of October, the first real-life special effects movie created by Dream Chaser Film Company, Zhu Xian Origin, was officially released. The main content of this movie is the story of the Chao Miao village case, Zhang Xiaofan's apprenticeship to Qingyun, and going down the mountain to the blood refining hall to perform the mission. Since it is called Origin, the focus of this movie is about Zhang Xiaofan's first meeting with Lu Sueki and Bai Yao. To say that there is a big thrill, there is none. People who read the Zhu Xian novel are more attracted by the love in it. But after Dream Chaser Film took over the IP adaptation, in addition to improving the rhythm of the plot, it also focused on the special effects and fighting scenes around the blood refining hall, as well as the Qingzhou competition. With the reputation of Whitesnake, Origin before, the film was released smoothly in Southeast Asia, East Asia, and other regions this time, but it will be released a week later in Europe and the United States. On the day of the release, Xiao Yunhai also went to the theater to watch the film in person. How do you have time to come to the theater to watch a movie? Lu Tianxian blinked and looked at someone curiously. Xiao Yunhai hugged the waist that tens of millions of male compatriots in Longwell wanted to hug, and said with a smile, "Isn't your new movie released? I have to see how the movie I invested in is filmed, and see if someone messed it up for me." Lu Tianxian rolled her eyes. Is this lady going to mess up? How is it possible? I am a popular young actress and my acting skills have never been complained about. Yes, you are amazing. You are a fairy. How can a fairy's acting skills be bad? Why do I feel that what you said sounds a bit wrong? Really? Then you must be wrong. I am praising you. Xiao Yunhai said with a smile. Tianxian's acting skills are not very good, but compared to his other girlfriend, there is nothing to say. The other girlfriend's acting skills are very empty when acting, and netizens jokingly call her the staring man. Xiao Yunhai thinks this evaluation is very pertinent. If she is not beautiful and has a good temperament, she probably can't be a star. As he was talking, the movie officially started. There were only him and Lu Tianxian in the theater. It was booked. Don't say that after the lights were turned off, this empty theater was still quite scary. Look, Lu Tianxian pressed her body tightly against him, her head resting on his shoulder, her hands tightly clenched, and she looked nervous. Xiao Yunhai clapped his hands gently to comfort her, his eyes looking at the big screen. In front of him, the tree-lined town, thatched houses, small wooden houses, and several children playing. It has a very rural atmosphere. It can make people feel relaxed after watching it. It's just that this quiet little village was in danger because of the arrival of an old monk. That night, the whole village was massacred. Then, the Qingyun sect on the mountain found the massacred village at the foot of the mountain, and then brought Zhang Xiaofan, Lin Jingyu, and others back to the mountain. The two embarked on the journey of cultivating immortals. Overall, the plot restored the original work. As a book fan, what made him feel bright was that the movie constructed a magnificent and fairy-like scene for the Qingyun sect. This is many times stronger than a certain Zhu Xian movie he had seen in his previous life. This scene alone gives people a feeling of a blockbuster. Just like Avatar, the story is very lame, but the scene is well constructed. If it really comes to the plot, in his opinion, the old-fashioned hero model of Avatar has been filmed badly, and there is nothing eye-catching. On the contrary, Zhu Xian is about revenge in the early stage and resurrection of lovers in the later stage. The plot is full. Moreover, the emotional line is not comparable to that of American movies. He couldn't understand the emotional scenes in American movies. They fell in love with each other for no reason, and then started playing poker. This is too far off topic. The plot soon came to the Qingyun competition. This is a big climax in the early stage. Dream Chasing seems to be aware of this problem, so the length is very long, with cool fighting scenes, especially special effects. It is definitely a blockbuster level. Wow, this special effect is also done too well. Seeing Lu Tianxian's surprised expression, Xiao Yunhai smiled and said, "How is the special effect done? Don't you know?" "How do I know?" There were no special effects during the filming. It was quite embarrassing to hang on the wire and hold props in the air. Xiao Yunhai thought about the scene when Lu Tianxian was filming and shuddered. It felt very too. The actor who plays Zhang Xiaofan was not chosen well. Looking at Chen Xiao, who plays the adult Zhang Xiaofan, Xiao Yunhai said, "Why?" Lu Tianxian said, "Chen Zhao's ancient costume is very photogenic, and many people say that he is suitable for playing Zhang Xiaofan. Too handsome." Xiao Yunhai. The original novel says that Zhang Xiaofan looks plain and honest. Don't you think the Zhang Xiaofan in the movie is too handsome? It seems so. Lu Tianxian suddenly realized. In fact, there is another point that Xiao Yunhai did not mention. That is, the character chosen for this casting gives people the feeling that he is too shrewd, and he doesn't look honest at first glance. But Yang Yang was chosen for the role of Lin Jingyu, and he felt that it was quite in line with the original work. After the victory of the competition, the group went down the mountain for the trial, and then Zhang Xiaofan met Bai Yao. The actor who played Bai Yao was Zhao Baozi, and the image was not completely suitable, but it could only be said to be mediocre. Then, it was the plot of Lian Ertang and the blood-dripping cave. 2 hours passed. Finally, the screening was over. The lights in the theater were also lit up. How is it? What do you think of the filming? Lu Tianxian looked at her man. Not bad. Xiao Yunhai commented. The plot is much more refined. The scenes and fighting special effects are very good, especially Qingyun Mountain, which really gives people the feeling of a great sect of immortal cultivation. I also think it's pretty good, much better than the Kung Fu King I shot before. Kung Fu King? That bad movie, how can it be compared with Zhu Xian shot by Dream? Xiao Yunhai's mouth twitched twice. He complained in his heart. It's completely insulting to compare Kung Fu King with Zhu Xian 1. Let's go. The movie is over. I'll take you for a midnight snack. Hearing about having a midnight snack, Lu Tianxian's face was tangled. What's wrong? Xiao Yunhai asked when he saw this. Getting fat. Xiao Yunhai. Lu Tianxian's physique is easy to gain weight, not the kind that can't gain weight even if you eat a lot. On the screen, he looks very thin because of controlling his diet and exercising. Then just watch me eat. I'm not afraid of getting fat. Why? I want to eat too. Didn't you say you were afraid of getting fat? I'll lose weight after I gain weight. The two hadn't seen each other for a long time and missed each other very much. In the next week, the two were inseparable and had several rounds of sparring every day, as if they wanted to make up for all the losses before. It wasn't until November 5th that Lu Tianxian left Xinhan with satisfaction and returned to Longhua. F***K. When women are fierce, their fighting power is bursting. Contrast, absolutely contrast. Xiao Yunhai returned to the palace and drank the health tea brewed by Lin Na. He complained about a certain woman in his heart. She was so tireless that he almost couldn't resist. Fortunately, a miracle happened. In the end, he subdued someone. He turned on the computer and searched the internet for the reputation of the movie Zhu Xian and its current box office results. Wow, it's so well shot. It fits the scene in my mind perfectly. Sister Fairy is so beautiful. She's worthy of being my goddess. Seeing this comment, Xiao Yunhai's mouth twitched slightly, and he thought to himself, your goddess has been very popular these days, which is a big contrast to Inchan H's pure and innocent. This is a real fairy movie. The fairy style and the Qingyun Gate scene are so realistic. The black water snake in the dripping blood cave is so scary. It feels like the real thing. It's really scary. It feels like running out of the movie, and there were no less than dozens of people screaming in the cinema at that time. Xinhan netizens almost all gave positive comments. They all gave thumbs up. This movie was shot so well. After watching for a while, Xiao Yunhai opened the Dragon Country website, Tieba, Weibo, Dubon, Time.com, and other websites, and found news about the movie Zhu Xian. Look at the fairy movies shot by others, and then look at the ones we shot ourselves. They are completely the same as shit. As expected of the film company that made the animated film, White Snake. Origin. This is so well shot, the camera movement is first-rate, the special effects are top-notch, and the scene construction is deeply restored. This is a film company that really makes movies with heart. I didn't expect to see such a high-quality fairy movie after so many years. Shushan was shot well, but the picture was too dim, and the props and scenes did not have the feeling of immortality at all. It was just special effects, unlike this Zhu Xian one. Origin. The scene was too beautiful, exactly the same as the fairy in my mind. Support upstairs +1. I love the fairy sister woo woo. The fairy sister finally stopped making bad movies. The casting of this movie is quite consistent with the original work. The only shortcoming is Chen Xiao, who plays Zhang Xiaofan. Dubon's score reached 9.2 points. Thousands of people commented. Not to mention Weibo hot search. 井号刘天仙陆雪琪井号赵丽颖碧瑶井号. Similar words frequently appear on the hot search. The popularity of the movie Zhu Xian directly made Zhao Liang, Chen Xiao, Yang Yang, and others who were originally still in the 18th line become famous overnight, and their Weibo fans soar dozens of times. This is the effect that a successful movie brings to the actors. Needless to say, These people will have a much wider range of acting in the future, and they will also explode in advance. I checked the box office data released in Longhua. After 8 days of release, the cumulative box office has reached 400 million yuan. If nothing unexpected happens, the box office in Longhua should be 700 to 800 million yuan. If luck is good, it is not impossible to break 1 billion yuan. I searched the box office in Taiwan and Hong Kong, and they also have good results. Even if the total box office of this movie cannot exceed White Snake, it will not be much different. In fact, it doesn't matter to him whether it makes money or not. What he wants is the popularity of the IP. After hyping up this IP, he will make money from the theme park and surrounding areas. At present, it seems that the first live-action movie of Zhu Xian has achieved good results. November 7th. Zhu Xian 1. Origin was officially launched in Europe and the United States. Oh my god, this is the legendary Eastern immortal cultivation world? God, so cool. This scenery is so beautiful. Does anyone know where this movie was filmed? Wow, this snake is so realistic. I was scared and thought it was real. Miss, the role you play is very beautiful. God, are there really immortal cultivators in the East? It is said that Kunlun in the eastern country is called the Immortal Mountain, and there are immortal cultivators on it. Not only that, I heard that hundreds of years ago, there was a man named Zhang who cultivated immortals in some Yes, Wudong Mountain and lived for more than 300 years. K? 300 years. Cultivating immortals. I have told my mother that I will go to the eastern country to study next year, so that I can cultivate immortals. Many people have seen martial arts movies in Europe and the United States, but few people have seen movies about cultivating immortals. Too few people have filmed this theme, mainly because of technical issues. If you want to film the immortals flying in the sky and hiding in the ground, you need a lot of special effects, and special effects are notoriously expensive, not to mention that it is a movie that needs a lot of special effects. For the film companies in Longhua, the box office market is so small. If you make special effects movies, you will lose money and even lose the ownership. Unlike Dream Chaser, it uses advanced technology to reduce the difficulty and cost of special effects production. And backed by the royal family, even if it loses money, it will not cause the company to go bankrupt. So, without so many concerns, the movies made by MO are natural. The appearance of Zhu Xian 1. Origin made many foreigners exclaim that it is magical, just like the first time Longhua people watched American Hollywood special effects blockbuster movies. In addition, because of the White Snake Origin shot by Dream Chaser before, this time the live-action movie, Zhu Xian 1. Origin, was not only widely praised after it was released in Europe and the United States, but also won the box office championship in many places. After 1 week of release, it won $150 million in North America. Although the performance is not as good as the previous White Snake, it is rare for a foreign language film to have won a box office of $150 million in the United States in just 1 week. As the movie becomes popular, more people are trying to understand and find the story of this movie. This is all about the store. This day, Xiao Yunhai came to Bangji Island. Unlike the last time he took a boat, this time the plane landed directly on the island. After more than a year of construction, Bangji Island International Airport has been completed by more than 95%. The airport runway, terminal, oil depot, and maintenance station have all been completed. Only some electronic equipment in the terminal has not been installed and needs to be purchased from abroad, such as automatic ticket machines. The airport was built according to the large airport. The original plan was to stop short and medium-range passenger aircraft such as Airbus A320 and Boeing 737. However, thanks to the government's money, the airport level has been upgraded from the original 4C level to 4E level, which can take off large twin-engine passenger aircraft such as Boeing 777, Airbus A330, and Boeing 787, and the designed annual throughput is 50 million passengers. After the expansion, it can also be used as a temporary military airport in critical situations. The geographical location is very critical. Setting up an airport here can provide resources to Palawan Island, North Sea Province, and the Sulu Sea. And the number of runways at the airport is as many as 3. From the number of runways at the airport, it can be seen that Xiao Yunhai has high hopes for Bangui Island. End. Chapter 68. From the airport, take a car. Follow the newly paved asphalt road and head south. You can see construction sites everywhere on both sides of the road, with new houses, apartments, and even commercial areas rising from the ground. It is completely different from the last time he came here, when it was completely barren. At this moment, it looks like an island city. However, the town is still dusty at this moment, and it is definitely a large construction site. But the road network and the newly built commercial and residential areas around it can already be seen that this place will definitely be an excellent tourist city in the future. Along the ring road, he drove for 20 minutes and came to the place where he landed on the island last time. A large pier has been initially built, and various yachts and cruise ships are docked outside the pier. On one side of the pier, several high-rise buildings have been built, with white exterior paint and palm trees, which are very tropical. The high-rise buildings are closed and form a group. At the entrance, on the stone plaque, the words Xinghan Long Beach Resort Hotel were carved in a flamboyant style. Yes, this hotel is Hotel E, which is being built by Bangji Island Development Company under Xiao Yunhai. Your Highness. Seeing Xiao Yunhai coming, Jin Xiaoqing, CEO of Bangji Island Development Company, Limited, stepped forward to greet him. This person is in charge of the entire Bangji Island construction. Jin Xiaoqing, is this the resort hotel you built? Yes, Your Highness. It looks good. Come on, take me around. Xiao Yunhai looked around for a few times. Okay, Your Highness, please come this way. Jin Xiaoqing quickly made an invitation gesture. The group began to inspect the 227 hotel. The entire hotel was designed by a foreign architect using the palm leaf design concept. There are a total of 5 buildings, and the shape is as Your Highness has seen, with leaf elements. There are a total of 1,800 suites, which can accommodate 7 or 8,000 people, or even talents. The hotel is divided into 7 suites, and the current price range is from 400 Han Yuan to 5,000 Han Yuan. The hotel integrates food, drink, and entertainment into one, with a large bar, a cinema, and a large amusement park. Later, after the hotel is officially on track, some singers will be invited to hold concerts here. Xiao Yunhai nodded, and after a round of visits, it was indeed well done. Even the lights on the sidewalk were shaped to look like a palm tree. It was much better than many 5-star hotels he had visited before. It can be said that this resort hotel is a small ecological community. All kinds of entertainment facilities are available. What is that building opposite? Xiao Yunhai raised his hand and pointed to a small island 100 meters away, with some low buildings on it. Your Highness, that is also a hotel, a sea resort, a bit like the Maldives, mainly for some high-level customers. Oh! Xiao Yunhai became interested. He had been to the Maldives and liked the stilt houses built in the shallow water. Especially when night comes, sitting in the stilt house on the sea and listening to the sound of the waves can make people feel particularly relaxed and quiet. Can I go up? Xiao Yunhai asked with interest. Yes. There is a special ferry to go there, but the island has not been completed yet. Xiao Yunhai waved his hand and said, It's okay. I'll go up and take a look. Yes. Jin Xiaoqing arranged 3 small ferries. They arrived at the island in a moment. Standing on the wooden dock, the sea breeze blew slowly. Looking at the island in front of him, Xiao Yunhai felt that it was nice to vacation here, away from the world, without so many troubles, and it was definitely a quiet place. The island was not large, the seawater quality and the beach were very high, and the water was clear. He could see some small fish and crabs swimming in the water. There were dozens of cabins along the island, just like the Maldives. I randomly picked a cabin to visit. The cabin was not small, about 100 square meters. The area of a suite. How much does it cost to stay here for one night? After visiting the cabin, Xiao Yunhai asked curiously, Your Highness, the room you are looking at is 3,000 Han Yuan a day. There is also a large apartment with more than 200 square meters, which can accommodate a large family. It costs 3,800 Han Yuan a night. Jin Xiaoqing replied. Xiao Yunhai nodded slightly. This price is not expensive, nor cheap. It's just average. It's about the same as the price of a holiday cabin in the Maldives for one day. And the Maldives is too commercialized, far less natural than this island. Let's go back. After a tour, Xiao Yunhai got up and left. When they returned to Banggi Island, Xiao Yunhai suggested going to the island to see the large ocean park and the previously built ghost-blowing lamp, Yunnan Worm Valley, theme park. Hotels and what? These are all supporting facilities. Whether it can attract tourists, in addition to the sea view, is more about playing facilities. These are the most important. People come here to play. Don't they just want to see something different? Could it be that they really lie on the beach every day? We drove to the ocean theme park. It has not been completed yet, but from the outside, many buildings have been completed. The convoy drove into the internal road inside, and there was a large lake in front of them. There were sidewalks and isolation facilities on both sides of the lake. Your Highness, this is a large whale house that has been built. You can see the whole picture underground. In addition to whales, more than 2,000 tropical fish, shrimps, crabs, turtles, and other aquatic animals are currently fed. Seeing that Xiao Yunhai seemed very interested in this, Jin Xiaoqing asked the driver to drive underground, which was the entrance to the whale house. The group, led by Jin Xiaoqing, went down the stairs and came to the underground. The underground was very spacious and large, which shocked Xiao Yunhai, who had seen the world. This was completely a big deal, and the air was not stuffy at all. Moreover, the underground cave is very high. Normal houses are only about 3 meters high, but this one is about 15 meters high. There is a store here with dozens of shops, mainly providing some food, tea, and some whale-related peripherals. As they talked, they came to a huge glass curtain. Through the glass, they could see the blue sea and the fish swimming freely in it. Here is the sightseeing area. The glass curtain wall of the entire sightseeing area is 75 meters long, which is currently the largest glass curtain wall of an aquarium in the world. How is the protection of this glass? Xiao Yunhai reached out and touched the glass curtain wall in front of him, his expression a little solemn. He just saw that this glass curtain wall looks good, but if it is not strong enough, the disaster it brings is also scary. The glass curtain wall is more than 70 meters long, and the height of the glass curtain wall has reached 10 meters. If it breaks, it will flood the ground in a moment. Jin Xiaoqing saw Xiao Yunhai's worry and said with a smile, "Your Highness, don't worry about the problem of the glass curtain wall breaking. It is made of acrylic glass, and the thickness is very large, more than 1 meter thick. According to the current water pressure, even if a whale hits the glass curtain wall, it will not break." Is it 1 meter thick? Yes. This glass curtain wall alone cost 200 million Han yuan. Good guy. A 1 meter thick glass curtain wall, this is the first time he has seen it. No wonder he stretched out his hand and pressed the glass slightly. Unlike ordinary tempered glass, it will flash. This is very hard. Well, we still can't take it lightly. After the camp, we must arrange personnel to check at all times to avoid accidents. Although the possibility of rupture is very low, Xiao Yunhai still thinks that it should not be taken lightly. Nothing can be absolute. Understood. Jin Xiaoqing nodded in agreement. At this time, a group of fish swam in the glass curtain wall. Standing in front of the glass, it feels like being on the bottom of the sea. Not bad. Xiao Yunhai nodded with satisfaction. This pavilion will definitely attract many tourists. Afterwards, the group visited the shark pavilion and the manatee pavilion. These two pavilions are not as big as before. After that, there are penguin pavilions, polar bear pavilions, sea lion pavilions, and marine performance venues. These have everything, and are also necessary pavilions for some ocean parks. Then there are some large water park facilities. Overall, it is still very good. It is definitely not novel, but it is large enough and has many water park projects, such as diving performances, diving adventures, sea surfing, etc. In a word, it has everything it should have. Other aquariums don't have it here. After all, at the beginning of the construction, Xiao Yunhai said that he wanted to build the world's largest ocean theme park. It took more than an hour to visit it simply. This is still taking a sightseeing bus. It is estimated that it will take more than 3 hours to visit it simply by walking. How do you plan to charge? It has not been decided yet. There are 2 ways. One is to buy out the tickets, and the other is to have a low threshold, and then buy additional tickets for some projects inside. Forget about double charging, it is easy to cause disputes, and it makes tourists feel that they are at a disadvantage. It is better to charge once, so that tourists can understand it clearly. Xiao Yunhai is the most disgusted. After buying the ticket, you have to pay twice to enter. Isn't this bullying? In addition, when he was studying in Longhua, he went to some theme parks and saw many of them making a fuss because of double charging. Yes. Jin Xiaoqing nodded in response. Let's go. There's still some time. Let's go see the theme park project of Ghost Blowing Lamp, Yunnan Worm Valley. Xiao Yunhai looked at the time and said, he was looking forward to this project, which was a one-to-one restoration of the movie scene. He heard that some scenes of Ghost Blowing Lamp, Yunnan Worm Valley movie that were in post-production were shot in the theme park. Soon, the group arrived at the target location. Then they went on a tour. My goodness, it was really gloomy inside, and you could hear a lot of insects chirping. There were trees as high as tens of meters, covering the sky and the sun, and it really felt like being in a jungle. When Xiao Yunhai learned that there were snakes and centipedes inside, his hair stood up instantly. He was most afraid of these 2 things. Not far away, he returned the same way. There are centipedes and snakes inside, so it can't be open to tourists, right? Xiao Yunhai said. Jin Xiaoqing, Your Highness, you see this area is a true restoration of the ecology, so there are snakes, mainly for some extreme adventure enthusiasts. Normally, ordinary tourists can visit another safe venue. The snakes and centipedes inside have been cleaned up, and a safety protection wall has been set up. Regular internal inspections are carried out, and no poisonous substances will appear. Hearing this, Xiao Yunhai relaxed a lot. Immediately suggested to take a look at this so-called safe pavilion. After entering, you can see dense banana trees, groves, abandoned huts, cliffs, thatched houses, and caves that are perfectly reproduced, etc., which are very realistic. Take the tomb of King Xian. The white smoke created gives people the feeling that it is really in the sky. It is many times stronger than the Universal theme park and some jungle parks he visited. It deeply restores some scenes of Yunnan Worm Valley. After watching it, Xiao Yunhai was very satisfied. He is sure. After the movie Ghost Blows Out the Light, Yunnan Worm Valley is released. The scenes in this theme park will be filmed and posted online, which will surely attract many people to visit and travel here. This is not a fake film and television theme park like Disney and Universal, but a highly realistic restoration. Not bad, very well done. This theme park must keep up with the marketing after the movie is released. I believe that this park will become the hottest theme park in Bangji Island in the future. After the visit, Xiao Yunhai was in a very good mood. Jin Xiaoqing smiled and nodded. Without Xiao Yunhai's reminder, he also planned to focus on operating and promoting this adventure park. To attract tourists, you have to make differentiation. Although the ocean theme park is large in scale, it can't play anything new after all. This film and television theme park is different. There is not only the promotion of the movie, but also this kind of jungle adventure park is rare. What's more, it is adapted from IP. So it is destined that this park will have a large flow of people in the future. After a whole day of visiting Bangui Island, it was not until 6 o'clock in the afternoon that Xiao Yunhai boarded his private plane and returned to Chang'an. End. Chapter 69. On November 15th, half a month after its release, the first live-action movie of Dream Chaser broke through $200 million in the North American box office market. It successfully entered the top 10 of the box office list of the year. On November 30th, 1 month after its release, the North American box office market won $250 million, and the global box office reached $570 million, setting off a journey of cultivating immortals around the world. Many foreigners clamored to go to Kunlun Mountain in Dragon Country to explore the immortal world. On December 15th, Zhuxian 1. Origin came to an end around the world. It was released for nearly 50 days and earned $1.612 billion at the global box office. Although it is not as good as the animated film Whitesnake Origin, it is rare for a live-action movie or a movie shot by an Asian to earn more than $600 million worldwide. As the producer, Dream Chaser Film Company received a box office share of $182 million. When this news was reported, many people were worried that the second part would be gone, because the outside world invested more than $200 million in the movie Zhuxian 1. Origin. Now it has only received $182 million in box office revenue. It is equivalent to a loss of tens of millions of dollars. In the past, if a movie with a big investment like this loses money, there will basically be no sequel. Woo-woo, beg for a sequel. Such a good movie. The actors' acting skills are also online. Why doesn't it lose money? The above people don't understand special effects movies. Special effects are very expensive, tens of thousands, or even hundreds of thousands of dollars per second, and this Zhuxian movie, from beginning to end, 110 minutes of movie, at least 40 minutes of special effects shots. The fighting scenes alone add up to more than 3,280 minutes. You can calculate how much money this has to spend. So it is normal to lose money. And I think the loss is definitely more than tens of millions of dollars. The special effects alone are estimated to have cost $100 million. This movie definitely cost more than $230 million, and Dream Chaser lost at least $40 to $50 million. I feel that the second part is probably dead. F***K. After hearing what the above said, G think that the second part is probably dead. Alas, I finally saw a real fairy movie, but the sequel didn't happen. Come on, Dream Chaser. Although I also hope that there will be a sequel, you should still do what you can. Such a good movie has only a box office of $600 million. If I were to say that this quality is not too much, even if it takes a box office of $1 billion. The above people don't understand at first glance. This is a cultural difference. European and American films can get so many high box office in the world because now it is a society dominated by Western culture. European and American Hollywood movies, tell me, except for the white elephant country. Where are they not popular? Even in our dragon country, they are very popular. And the audience of Juxian and fairy themes is still too limited. I think it is already amazing to get the current box office. It is estimated that only Dream Chaser Film Company has this appeal. If it were other companies, let alone $600 million US, even $200 million is difficult. The gentleman above is right. Eastern culture covers too small a group. Although our domestic market is large, piracy is rampant. Few people are willing to spend money to watch movies in the cinema. DV. Just when the netizens of Longhua and Xinhan were worried about whether there would be a second part, the Dream Chaser Film Company released news, announcing that it would launch Dream Chaser 2, The Battle of Liopa Mountain, and the relevant characters would still be the original people. And it was announced that the second live-action movie of Dream Chaser, Ghost Blowing the Light, Yunnan Worm Valley, will be officially released during the Spring Festival this year. The news made the people of Xinhan and Longhua who were concerned about the Dream Chaser movie excited. That's great. I don't think I won't see the sequel in the future. Woo-woo, Dream Chaser is so conscientious. I will definitely support the new movie after it is released. Looking forward to the new movie of Dream Chaser. Wow, I am looking forward to the Ghost Blowing the Light shot by Dream Chaser. I hope the quality can be as high as Juxian. Such a conscientious film company must be supported. Thousands of people were excited and looked forward to the new movie of Chasing Dreams. Expect that Chasing Dreams Film Company can restore the scenes in the novel. Xinhan, Chang'an, Xinhan Chang'an Center, Building 1. Your Highness, according to your request, the losses have been compensated to the original tenants. At present, all the companies in this building have been cleared out. In addition, according to your instructions, we have registered Qiling Company and related trademarks. Xiao Yunhai nodded slightly. These days, he asked Lin not to register a new company, named Kirin Company. He plans to enter the field of smartphones. Now Apple is leading the pack and is famous in the field of smartphones. Samsung and other companies are following closely. Now if you enter the field of smartphones, you don't have to worry about sanctions and suppression. After all, there are many mobile phone industries in Longhua that have transformed into smartphones. And not only Longhua, there are many mobile phone brands in many countries around the world. It can be said that this is a time when smartphones are flourishing and contending, and Kirin Company is also following the trend. As for the competition, there is no need to worry about this problem with the golden finger. Well, you go ahead and do your work. I'll call you if there is anything. After that, Xiao Yunhai walked into the building with several bodyguards. First, he visited the building. The ground was cleaned. There were chairs, desks, and the like. He only needed to carry a bag to go to work. Walking into a company, Xiao Yunhai opened the system and first purchased technical information about Snapdragon, Apple A series, MediaTek Dimensity, and a certain future Kirin CPU and the appearance design drawings of Apple mobile phones in the system. If nothing else, the appearance of Apple mobile phones is indeed above the aesthetic line. After thinking about it, he still bought the mobile phone screen, OLED and LCD screen technology, and this technical information. He did not buy other spare parts and technologies such as mobile phone cameras, memory, storage chips, Wi-Fi Bluetooth modules, various sensors, speakers, RF antennas, power management chips, baseband chips, etc. You did everything yourself. It would be strange if you were not sanctioned. Just like Huawei and a certain company. The United States sanctioned Huawei, but not Xiaomi. In addition to the 5G communication technology problem, a big reason is that Huawei makes many parts by itself, or finds OEM production in Longhua, and does not purchase Qualcomm chips. Moreover, Huawei's mobile phones have impacted Apple's market share, which is why it has been suppressed. As for Xiaomi, it has no core technology. The CPU is all bought from Qualcomm. The camera is purchased from Samsung. The memory is from Micron and Hynix. The battery is purchased from LG. The panel is purchased from Samsung and JDI. The camera chip is purchased from Sony. The basic core parts are all purchased from companies in the United States, the island country, or South Korea. Only unimportant parts are purchased from local manufacturers in Longhua. When selling a mobile phone, most of the money flows into Japanese, Korean, and American companies. To put it bluntly, this is comprador, and the United States will sanction it when it is crazy. On the contrary, Huawei is different, confined to its own technology. Secondly, many parts are purchased from local companies in Longhua. Another reason is that Huawei's marketing is so powerful that its mobile phone sales have surpassed Apple, which the United States is proud of, and it has posed a major threat to Apple's business. That's why it was suppressed and sanctioned. The reason why he did not buy a full set of technical information, but only bought the two technologies of CPU and screen, and deliberately did not buy the technical information of components such as memory, is to avoid being sanctioned like Huawei. Huawei lost the European and American markets, but at least there is Longhua, the world's largest market. Xinhan is different. The population is only more than 10 million, and the economy mainly relies on foreign trade. If it is sanctioned, it will be a heavy blow to the economy. Therefore, he did not engage in other technologies such as memory, but chose to buy it, which is equivalent to taking out part of the profit to buy protection fees. The U.S. company will not sanction because it has made money from Kirin, and it is best not to overlap with the price range of Apple mobile phones. Either it is more expensive, or it is cheaper. In this way, there is not much conflict of interest, and the Americans will not sanction Kirin. This is the way for small countries to survive. There are concerns. There are many aspects to consider. You have to have a share, but you can't eat too much. If you eat too much, they will overturn the 383 table and you won't be able to eat. But it's okay. Even if you do this, Kirin has at least mastered 3 technologies: CPU, screen, and battery. The profit margin must be much higher than that of a certain me. After buying the hardware technical information, Xiao Yunhai opened the talent recruitment panel. Then he started recruiting 500 top software development engineers, 1,000 top chip technology talents, 500 OLED and LCD screen technology talents. Spent 100 million points. The price is not cheap, but it's worth it. After all, the future smartphone market will reach hundreds of billions of dollars. As long as Kirin can get 5% of the share, it will be 30 to 40 billion US dollars. And this is just a mobile phone. In addition to mobile phones, you can also make tablets. With the existence of the system, it is entirely possible to incubate a technology giant company. It can not only make money, but also drive employment, contribute to fiscal revenue, and reduce imports, reduce the purchase of smartphones, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. And when necessary, it can also be listed, drive the stock market of Xinhan, and lay the foundation for building a global financial center. So it is still necessary to have several well-known companies. Just like South Korea, relying on Samsung, LG, Hyundai, SK, and other companies, South Korea, with a population of more than 50 million, has been brought into the ranks of developed countries. Xinhan can do better. After handing over the technical data to the newly recruited soldiers, let them do in-depth research and development and customization based on the Android system. Why not choose to develop your own operating system? It's very simple. Xinhan has too few people. Even if you develop an intelligent operating system, foreign manufacturers don't use it, and the hardware doesn't use it, you can only entertain yourself. Unless you don't want to do foreign trade. As long as you do foreign trade and want to export, you must integrate into the world. Don't think about developing your own system. That's no different from seeking death. Of course, Longhua is an exception. Because Longhua is large enough, with a population of 1.2 billion, it can do internal circulation behind closed doors.
End.
Chapter 70. Mobile phone companies need to be established. Mobile internet companies also need to be established. Even Singapore, with a population of only over 4 million, is doing it, not to mention Singapore, which has a population of over 17 million. Another 400 internet software developers were recruited from the system and handed over to Wei Mingji, the CEO of the newly established Kirin company. It will be operated as an independent department. Wei Mingji readily took on this important task. Your Highness, what project do you want to do? In his opinion, since Xiao Yunhai proposed to make internet application products, he must have thought of something to do. Otherwise, why did he propose to make the internet? Bingo! Xiao Yunhai showed an admiring look, and then said, let's do cloud computing and big data first. With the advent of the smartphone era, the global internet industry will enter a period of rapid development in the future, and the demand for network bandwidth and data services will increase day by day. Let's build a big data center first. I think the data center should be located in Beihai province, where the temperature is lower and the power supply can keep up. Big data center, that is, IDC service, bandwidth room, that is, the so-called oligos to Penguin to serve, like the websites, apps, and various games that we see every day. Servers are needed to achieve remote access. In the future, there will be so many apps, mobile games, and so-called smart cities, which will make the IDC business usher in a big explosion. Just one Ali, the valuation is hundreds of billions of dollars. The valuations of the world's largest cloud computing companies, Amazon AWS, Google Cloud, and Micron Cloud, are even more frightening, reaching more than 100 billion US dollars. So there is a lot of room for cloud computing. And cloud computing is also the cornerstone of network applications. If you don't have your own cloud computing company, you can only rent someone else's. It is extremely unsafe to put data in another country, especially when it comes to sensitive information. Whether from a business perspective or from a data security perspective, Han must have its own 6 computing companies. At present, Shinhan is not without an IDC company, but they are all small companies, not big, and they all rent foreign IDCs. In short, they are second-hand tenants, without their own computer rooms, and cannot be considered real server suppliers. Hearing Xiao Yunhai talking about cloud computing and big data, Wei Mingji nodded. Cloud computing is indeed necessary. We are developing mobile phone operating systems and some system applications that also require server support. However, Your Highness, if you want to do cloud computing, the investment is not small. And the domestic network also needs to be upgraded to keep up. In addition, cloud computing consumes a lot of electricity. My suggestion is to try to put the server on the seabed. Find some shallow sea areas where the sea conditions are not complicated, so as to reduce the consumption of electricity. Put the data center on the seabed? Xiao Yunhai thought of something that seemed to have been done by Google and Micron in his previous life. Relying on the cold seawater, the electricity bill alone saves hundreds of millions of dollars every year. And it also reduces energy consumption. The main reason why the server consumes electricity is that the temperature rises sharply when the server is running. Just like playing games on a home computer. When playing large games, the fan rotates quickly to cool down the motherboard, graphics card, and other equipment. The same is true for servers. Usually, the temperature in the computer room will not exceed 20 degrees, and it is best to be a few degrees. On land, if you want to maintain this temperature, you need air conditioning output. That's why the power consumption is high. When it is placed on the seabed, the seawater temperature, especially at 70, 80, or 100 meters, is relatively cold. In this way, seawater is a natural cooler. This is why Google, Micron, and other world-class cloud computing companies choose to place their servers on the seabed. Of course, placing them on the seabed also requires solving a problem, the corrosion of seawater. There is also a maintenance issue. You can decide where to place the server. You don't need to worry about the money. Tomorrow I will have someone transfer $1 billion to Kieran's account. As for the network upgrade issue you mentioned, it will be solved after the new year. It was decided that at the end of the year, when the meeting was held, Shinhan Telecom, a subsidiary of the Royal Investment Bureau, would pay for the network upgrade. To engage in cloud computing, the network bandwidth must be large enough. In addition, I plan to build a streaming video website, which mainly provides online video services such as movies, TV series, animation, and sports. Through the charging method, users provide high-definition genuine network resources. In the early stage, we can purchase film and television resources in mainland China, Hong Kong, Taiwan, and other regions, including Hollywood copyrights in the United States. Build a streaming media service website, that is, like Netflix, iQIYI, Youku, and Tencent Video in the future, and set up an online genuine film and television website exclusively for Southeast Asia, Taiwan, and Hong Kong. First, boost local film and television companies in Shinhan and meet domestic needs. Second, further utilize the film and television resources of Dream Chaser. Third, it can also incubate a unicorn or a large-scale video website. Netflix did this, and its market value once reached nearly $300 billion. Net profit reached more than $5 billion. The losses of iQIYI, Youku, and Tencent Video and Longhua are simply due to piracy. Secondly, the homogeneity of resources and content is too serious. There are also a series of problems such as high-priced actors shooting bad dramas, etc. It is worthy of being a strange thing. Maybe there is also money laundering involved. So the losses of iQIYI, Youku, and Tencent Video are an exception. He did this, and it can also drive the sales of the set-top box industry in the future. If he doesn't do it, iQIYI, Youku, Tencent Video, Netflix, Disney, and other companies will come to occupy the market in the future. Rather than letting others make money, it's better for him to make money himself. The control is still in his hands. Besides, he has the conditions. Hollywood has Marvel, and Shinhan has Light Chaser. As for Longhua, spending more than $1 billion can almost buy all the overseas copyrights of Longhua's movies and TV series. In addition, Longhua's online literature, such as Shengda Literature, Jingjiang Literature, and other well-known novel websites have been acquired. It can be said that there is no shortage of IPs for adaptation. Therefore, it is not impossible to expand streaming media websites, boost the film and television power, and export culture. Moreover, by developing streaming media websites, exporting 3D animation and online dramas, and then converting them into peripherals, such as theme parks. There are also games and so on, which can also indirectly drive the development of Shinhan's tourism industry, which can be said to kill two birds with one stone. After listening to Xiao Yunhai's idea, Wei Mingji nodded. It's not difficult to build a streaming website, but it's more expensive in the early stage. Whether it's film resources or broadband, if your highness wants to do this, I think you should be prepared to lose 1 billion Han Yuan or even 2 billion Han Yuan every year in the first 3 years. It's okay, I don't have much else, but I have a lot of money, Xiao Yunhai said lightly. Not to mention the two major industries of medical and plastic surgery that lay golden eggs. The two oil fields alone can bring at least 20 to 30 billion US dollars in net income to the royal family every year. What's more, there are other industrial incomes, let alone a loss of 2 billion Han Yuan. As long as it is valuable, he is willing to invest in a loss of 20 billion Han Yuan. At the same time, military researcher. At this time, a fighter jet painted in light yellow slowly glided out of the assembly workshop, and countless researchers and technical workers around it all looked at the gliding technical verification machine excitedly. Call your highness immediately. Xia Qiming, who was at the scene, remembered that he had forgotten to invite Xiao Yunhai, and quickly told his assistant. The latter nodded and quickly called Xiao Yunhai's cell phone. When he was communicating with Wei Mingji about the future development direction of Qilin Company, his cell phone rang. He reached out and picked it up. It was an unfamiliar number. Hello? Your Highness, I am President Xia's assistant. The Military Research Institute has made a major technological breakthrough. President Xia invites you to participate in today's technical verification aircraft test flight event. Hearing this, Xiao Yunhai's face changed slightly. Shua, he stood up from the chair and said excitedly, Okay, I'll come right over. After that, he hung up the phone and said to Wei Mingji, who also stood up, I have something to do, so I'll leave first. Qilin Company will be handed over to you. The general direction for the next 2 years will follow the path we just communicated. If you don't understand anything, come to the palace to find me. After that, he hurriedly left Qilin Company. Your Highness. Downstairs, Lin Na did not leave. Seeing Xiao Yunhai coming out of the building, Lin Na hurried forward. Let's talk while we walk. Xiao Yunhai got in the car and told the driver, go to the Military Research Institute immediately. Yes. 15 minutes later, the convoy drove into the Military Research Institute. As soon as they drove into the internal road, they saw a fighter jet painted light yellow parked on the airport runway, and there was a large group of people in the direction of the apron. Xiao Yunhai focused on the trapped fighter. He was a little excited. This is a fighter developed by Xinhan itself. It has a different meaning. Although the system's Goldfinger can also be purchased, but a fighter, without discount, also needs tens of millions of points. Unless it is a critical moment, he will not spend points to buy a fighter. The cost performance is not high. It is better to buy technical data or resources that can make money. For example, the previous oil and natural gas resources. Your Highness. Seeing Xiao Yunhai arrive, Xia Qiming and other personnel hurriedly saluted. Okay, medical etiquette. Xiao Yunhai interrupted the courtesy of everyone and asked directly, What's the situation? Is that the technical verification aircraft? Yes, Your Highness. That is the first technical verification aircraft we assembled. Well, are you going to test fly today? Yes. When will it start? Anytime. Just waiting for Your Highness's order. Hearing this, Xiao Yunhai couldn't wait to say, Then let's start. Yes. Xia Qiming nodded in response, and then gave the order. Number 1, this is the tower. You can take off when you are ready. Listening to the voice, test pilot Chen Jinzhao replied, Number 1 received. Repeat. Number 1 received. After speaking, he put down the intercom in his hand. Looking at the many instruments in front of him, he looked at the direction of the apron and the technicians watching. Chen Jinzhao took a deep breath, adjusted his mentality, raised his hand and turned on the many instruments and buttons in front of him one by one. The electronic system is operating normally. The hydraulic system is operating normally. 11. The fuel system is operating normally. The aircraft is in good condition. A few minutes later, under the expectant gaze of thousands of people, the yellowish technology verification aircraft began to emit a light blue flame from the tail of the engine. Then, the flame began to turn orange-red. The high temperature and high pressure generated by the combustion chamber drove the turbofan impeller to rotate at high speed, thus generating huge thrust. Boom! The flame ejected backward by the engine generated a strong airflow, providing reverse power for the engine. And the technology verification aircraft, under the action of thrust, began to glide rapidly. The speed is getting faster and faster. At this moment, everyone's heart was hanging. Including Xiao Yunhai, he was extremely nervous. Fortunately, the fighter plane lived up to everyone's expectations. After gliding for a distance, Chun Jinzhao slowly pulled up the joystick, and the fighter's nose rose up. The angle with the ground became larger and larger. The nose of the plane quickly lifted up, and the front landing gear left the ground. Then, the front landing gear also left the ground. Under the huge thrust of the engine, it flew quickly into the sky and then rose straight up. The pulley under the belly of the plane was gradually retracted until it could not be seen. Ah! Success! We succeeded. Takeoff was successful. Woo, great! We finally succeeded. There were not only the dead soldiers at the scene, but also local people like Lin Na. At this moment, seeing the flying fighter, they were all very excited. It even felt incredible. This military research institute actually developed a fighter. Xiao Yunhai was also full of excitement at this moment. Of course, this kind of excitement was definitely not as much as Lin Na and others. After all, he knew everything. And it was he who opened the golden finger. Despite this, he was also very excited. This means that even without the golden finger in the future, Xinhan can also build fighters. From then on, it means that Xinhan has entered the ranks of the world's aviation powers. Although it is a replica, it can be built. How many countries in the world can afford it? South Korea? Island country? Don't joke. The fighters of these two countries are either aborted or assembled. None of the parts are from South Korea. The engine, avionics equipment, air-to-air missiles, fuselage materials, radars, etc. are all from abroad. Can this be considered South Korea's own fighter? If a war really breaks out, the supply will be cut off directly and it will be useless in an instant. Everyone, be quiet. A successful takeoff doesn't mean anything. The most important thing is whether the planned maneuvers and actions can be completed. Under Xia Qiming's scolding, the scene became quiet again. Everyone looked up at the fighter plane flying high in the sky. Boss Xia, do we have to complete the maneuvering operation on this first flight? Xiao Yunhai asked curiously. He remembered that for the first flight, as long as it can take off successfully and fly a certain distance in the air, and the electronic instruments and other equipment do not report errors, it is considered to have achieved the goal. As for the so-called maneuvering operation, it is often a verification subject later. Xia Qiming said, Your Highness, I have confidence in our aircraft, and I believe that the pilot can complete the technical verification subject. Okay then. Xiao Yunhai didn't understand it very well, and it was not easy to intervene too much. Then, Xiao Yunhai saw that after the fighter plane flew a distance at high altitude, it began to perform basic movements such as circling, diving, rolling, jumping, and sharp rising turns. The movements gradually became more and more complicated. Seeing that the fighter plane accelerated, it pulled up in a straight line, and then turned over, and the original elevation angle became level. What is this operation? Xiao Yunhai asked curiously. Your Highness, this is a loop, which is one of the basic operations. Basic? Xiao Yunhai was speechless. Then he shook his head and said, This action feels quite difficult, but it is a basic operation. Xia Qiming said, This is nothing. The most difficult ones are the Cobra maneuver and the Amaman maneuver. These actions, under the effect of stall, test the operation of the fighter and the pilot. Xiao Yunhai didn't understand it very well, and it felt like listening to a book of heaven. However, he was in a very happy mood at the moment. Being able to complete routine basic actions means that the performance of the fighter has been verified to a certain extent. Of course, it is impossible for a fighter plane to be perfect after one test flight. It still needs dozens or hundreds of test flights and repeated verification. Okay, tell the tower, contact the pilot, tell him that it's okay, and the test flight can be ended. Xia Qiming suddenly said. Yes. Soon, the fighter plane was seen slowly lowering its altitude. Taking off is a test, and so is landing. Fortunately, the fighter plane finally landed smoothly. Nothing went wrong. It glided for a distance and then stopped at the designated location. The engineers on the scene had already rushed over to retrieve the experimental data, while the technical workers on the scene, that is, the workers responsible for assembly and production, were excited and celebrated. Xiao Yunhai was also infected. He ordered Lin Na beside him, Secretary Lin, asked them for the photos taken, and then announced it to the public. Our Xinhan's first self-developed fighter plane has successfully tested, and let the people of the country be happy. This is a time to enhance the cohesion of the people, and Xiao Yunhai will naturally not let it go. End. Chapter 71. As for the exposure of the fact that Xinhan has developed fighter jets, Xiao Yunhai believes that it will be exposed sooner or later. And the satellites of the United States are so powerful. Maybe they have captured it, so there is no need to hide it. Just right. Let the outside world be quiet for a while. Let the Javan monkeys and Philippine monkeys be quiet and stop making small moves. By the way, publicize it to the outside world. It will be convenient for export to North Africa, the Middle East, or South America in the future. Okay. Lin Na agreed happily, and then went to find the photographer to ask for photos. Xiao Yunhai went to the technical verification machine with Xia Qiming. Anyway, he didn't understand, so he just followed and watched more. Lin Ming is a reporter for the military news channel of Xinhan National Television. On weekdays, it mainly broadcasts some daily news of military training and overseas military intelligence. As usual, after broadcasting the morning news, she is reviewing and discussing the content of the noon broadcast with the editing team. Lin Yu. At this moment, a shout came. Looking up, it was her immediate boss. Leader, should I be contacted? Go to the director's office. He said he has something important to talk to you about. Go quickly. Hearing this, Lin Yu was slightly stunned. Without thinking too much, she nodded quickly and walked quickly towards the director's office. Knock knock. Raised her hand and knocked on the door with her fingers. Come in. Hearing the sound coming from the room, Lin Yu pushed the door open and walked in. Director, are you contacting me?
Yes.
The director nodded, stretched out his hand and put the photos and some small videos that had just been downloaded and copied to the USB drive on the table. Take this USB drive and ask the post-editing department to edit it quickly. A message will be inserted into the news program at noon today. The content is in the USB drive. Hearing this, Lin Yu was curious in her heart. What kind of news is worth the director's arrangement to jump the queue? Normally, the content of the news that has been decided will not be changed. But since the director wants to change it, what else can the subordinate do? Go west. He took the USB drive, then found the post-production editing department and handed it to them. The director arranged it. Minister Wu, you arranged for someone to edit the contents? Hearing that it was arranged by the director himself, the person in charge of film and television post-production editing, who was about to complain, swallowed the words on his lips in an instant. Xiao Lu, you handle it. Handed the USB drive to his employees. When the employees got the USB drive and plugged it into the computer, play some pictures and videos in it. Is this the Gripen fighter? No. Why is it the yellow verification machine? Wait, these people. Your Highness? At the same time, Lin Yu, who was standing behind the technician Xiao Lu, also saw the 903 material played in the video. Grabbed the mouse from Xiao Lu, put it down again, and listened carefully to the sound inside. Then his eyes widened, and he said in shock, This? We have developed a fighter? This? How is this possible? What fighter? Sister Lin, who did you say developed a fighter? Lin Ming's voice was not small, and the office happened to be very quiet at this time. So Lin Yu's exclamation immediately attracted a lot of attention. Lin Ming was about to say, Xiao Lu exclaimed, Oh my God, big news, unprecedented big news. Our military research institute can actually produce fighters. What? Fighter? We can produce fighter? Are you kidding me? We can produce such advanced weapons? That's right, Xiao Lu, stop joking. Facing the disbelief of the crowd, Xiao Lu said, If you don't believe it, look for yourself. The video playing is the test video of our fighter's first flight. Even His Royal Highness the Crown Prince was on the scene. Do you dare to say it's fake? When everyone heard this, they came to him and watched the video playing on Xiao Lu's computer screen. They were shocked. It was obviously very unexpected. How could they have thought that their country could build airplanes without making any noise? Oh my God, this is too magical. No wonder they had to interrupt. This news is really worth interrupting. At this moment, Lin Yu also understood. Then dispersed the crowd. Xiao Lu, don't waste time. Hurry up. There is not much time left. Under Lin Yu's urging, Xiao Lu remembered that this video had to be edited. He hurriedly got busy. Fortunately, he finally finished editing after rushing. Su Tianyu is a veteran. After he was injured and discharged from the army, he ran a convenience store supermarket in his hometown Gaoyu County. His life was not very good, but he still earned more than working in a factory. The only thing was that he had to sit in the store for too long every day, from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. Fortunately, this job was relatively leisurely. When he was free, he liked to watch the news in the store, watch military channels, and live broadcasts online. As usual, he soaked a bucket of instant noodles, sat on a chair, turned on the computer, and found the official live broadcast channel. The birth of this aircraft marks a huge breakthrough from 0 to 1 in my country, and has achieved great progress in independently building fighter jets. At this moment, We can proudly say that Xinhan is a strong country in the aviation industry. Wait, what the hell? Sighed. Su Tianyu was in high spirits, sat up straight, and stared at the computer in front of him. However, he was late and only heard a little bit of the end. He did not see the previous test flight video and the photos taken on the scene. After seeing other content being played on the live broadcast channel, Su Tianyu quickly searched for relevant information on his computer. Soon, Xinhan.com, which is also the largest news website of Xinhan and is officially operated, appeared. The headline on its homepage was marked in red. A groundbreaking progress. Today my country's first independently developed fighter jet made its maiden flight. Seeing this title, Su Tianyu took a breath, looked a little excited, and clicked on the title excitedly. The webpage opened immediately. According to the military, today, my country's first domestically made fighter jet, independently developed by my country's Military Research Institute, based on the Gripen fighter jet, completed its maiden flight today. During the maiden flight, it completed many maneuvers one after another, which proved the reliability of my country's independently developed fighter jets. It is reported that after completing many tests, it may be equipped with my country's Air Force to enhance the strength of my country's Air Force. This will make my country the first country in Southeast Asia to independently develop and produce fighter jets, and it is also ranked in the top 5 in the world. The emergence of this fighter jet also marks a major breakthrough in our military industry. I believe that in the near future, the strength of my country's Air Force will be greatly improved. There are a lot of pictures in the article. It can be clearly seen that the Gripen fighter jet, painted with yellow paint, was tested and taken pictures. Su Tianyu looked at it blankly and swallowed his saliva. It was a bit difficult to accept for a while. It was mainly too unexpected. I have never heard that the country is developing its own fighter jets. After a brief moment of shock and distraction, Su Tianyu regained consciousness and opened the social software with excitement. He found a chat group called Defending the Country, Bloodstained on the Battlefield, and added all the netizens in the group. Then he sent a message. Brothers, this is great. So exciting. Our country has developed a fighter jet and it was successful. Less than a minute after the message was sent, someone replied in the group. Lao Su, you are still asleep, right? Our country has no industry. How can we possibly develop advanced weapons like fighter jets? Do you know? The number of countries in the world that can develop fighter jets can be counted on one hand. Apart from the 5 permanent members of the UN Security Council and Sweden and Northern Europe, which other countries have developed fighter jets? This statement was immediately recognized by several other netizens. That's right, Lao Su. If you want to bomb the group, you can say something else, such as developing an armored vehicle. Maybe I will believe it. Yes, if we can develop a fighter jet, I will eat shit immediately. Su Tianyu's eyes lit up when he saw this comment. He immediately typed, Lao Yi, are you serious about what you said? If the country really develops a fighter jet, will you eat shit? Why not? I'm putting it in the group today. If we can independently develop a fighter jet, I will eat shit immediately. Brothers in the group will bear witness. The netizen named Lao Yi immediately replied in the group. I'll testify. I'll testify too. Seeing this, Su Tianyu copied the previous URL and sent it to the group. He typed, Old Yi, I think you're going to get into trouble this time. After the message was sent, no one replied. 1 minute passed. 3 minutes passed. Until 5 minutes later, someone in the group replied. F***K, Lao Su. Is the news in the link you sent true or false? Did our country really develop a fighter independently? Of course it's true. The military news channel has broadcast it before. Great. Awesome. His Royal Highness the Crown Prince is so amazing. It hasn't been long since he led the Military Research Institute to develop a fighter. It's amazing. This is terrible. Lao Yi is going to eat shit. Hey, Lao Yi, don't hide. Everyone has seen it. You said that our country has developed a fighter. You are going to eat shit. Everyone just testified. The netizen named Lao Yi immediately started to attack and argued. Did I say this? Don't F***king frame me. Look, Lao Yi is cheating. Bullshit. I'm not cheating. Let's not talk about whether I made this bet or not. Even if I did, I can't eat shit. I said independent research and development. Can imitating the Gripen fighter be considered independent research and development? It's a skill to be able to imitate it. How many countries in the world can imitate fighters? Besides, haven't you read the news? Aircraft engines, radars, avionics equipment, these are all independent products, not purchased from abroad. If this is not independent research and development, what is it? That's right, Lao Yi. Stop quibbling, eat shit. The Lao Yi who was scolded made a red face expression. Bullshit. You want me to eat shit? No way. I won't talk to you. I have something to log off first. F***K. Lao Yi, I can't afford to lose. At this time, with the news reports from official TV stations and websites, the people of Xinhan were boiling, especially the men. This is more exciting than the royal family taking out 10 billion Han Yuan to give to the people before. Great, we have our own fighters too. Long live Xinhan. I wish the engineers good health and longevity. So cool. Thumbs up for our military experts. Come on, my country. So exciting. I didn't expect the country is still spending a lot of money on developing fighter jets. So amazing. This is too well hidden. There was no news before, but now it's revealed that the independently developed fighter jet has made its first flight. So amazing. 38. On this day, the entire Xinhan people were like chicken blood. Countless netizens were excitedly discussing the test flight of the new fighter jet and whether its performance was better than the previously imported, original Gripen fighter jet. Some netizens even posted the news to foreign news platforms such as YouTube, Twitter, and Weibo. It has caused intense heated discussions abroad. Longhua. Weibo. According to the official announcement of Xinhan, the first fourth-generation aircraft developed by the company successfully flew this morning. It is reported that this new fighter is developed based on the Gripen fighter. Its performance has not yet been announced. According to the news released by Xinhan, this fighter is said to have not purchased any parts, but developed independently. If this is true, it means that Xinhan has strong R&D capabilities in the military industry. It may become one of the few countries in the world that can develop fighters independently. Xinhan officially announced the first flight of a new fighter #Xinhan new fighter #Xinhan self-developed fighter first flight #similar hot words quickly became popular searches. It has caused heated discussions among countless Longhua netizens. As for why Longhua netizens pay so much attention to Xinhan, one is that everyone is of the same origin and speaks Mandarin and Chinese. Second, Xinhan's social media is basically Weibo and Penguin, and of course Facebook, Twitter, and other software. As for Xinhan's local software companies, they are basically stillborn and have not developed. Therefore, you can see many Xinhan netizens on Weibo. The news rushed to the hot search and immediately triggered heated discussions among countless netizens. Xinhan can develop fighter jets? Isn't this too strong? Damn, this small country is amazing. It can even develop fighter jets. Although it is reverse engineering, it is also amazing. I just found the official news released by Xinhan in the leaked video. I think everyone underestimates Xinhan. They are independently developed. Although the shell is a Gripen fighter, their avionics, engines, and radars are all developed. And from the flames ejected by the engine, I feel that Xinhan is a little stronger than us in the field of aviation engines. The people above are joking. Xinhan is a small country, and there has been no news of self-developed fighter jets before. How can it be stronger than us? That's right, it's too boastful. I think it's too exaggerated, but being able to develop and produce fighter jets is already very good, especially for a small country. Strictly speaking, they are not a small country. With 120,000 square kilometers and a population of more than 17 million, they are not a small country. Some people above are ignorant. Although Xinhan is not a big country, its pharmaceutical industry is very strong. All the popular drugs on the market, such as slimming pills, breast augmentation pills, whitening, freckle removal, and acne removal, are developed by Xinhan. Don't underestimate them. Moreover, they have a lot of oil. Damn, if the news is true, then the future overlord of Southeast Asia will be replaced by Xinhan from Annan. I think so too. It purchased $10 billion of naval equipment before, and now it has developed its own fighter jets. Has Xinhan used external plugins in the past 2 years? A small country can do this, so it is strong. Xinhan reverse-engineered the Gripen fighter and successfully completed the test flight, which not only caused a sensation among the public, but also caused a great shock among officials of various countries. However, since Xinhan officials did not disclose relevant information about the fighter, the detailed parameters of this fighter are not clear. The Americans believe that Longhua or Maoxiong provided technical support, such as aircraft engines. Otherwise, how could Xinwen develop a fighter? The Maoxiong also believes that Longhua provided technical support, and Longhua believes that it was the Americans who provided engines and radar equipment to Xinhan. As for Xinhan, the three countries, not to mention the officials of all countries around the world, do not believe the claim of fully independent research and development. After all, aircraft are too difficult to develop. Before, Xinhan was not an aviation power, so how could it have developed it? Xiao Yunhai was happy to see such misunderstandings. The contempt of various countries made it easier for Xinhan to upgrade secretly. The success of the Gripen fighter also means that there will be no threshold for Xinhan to develop the 5th-generation stealth fighter. The key technologies have been solved, and those that cannot be solved can also be solved urgently through the system. What other thresholds are there in Chapter 72. Northern Europe. Sweden. Saab. Conference room. The content played on the large projection screen was the first flight video of the self-developed fighter jet of Xinhan. Many Saab executives in the meeting looked very ugly at the moment. Their flagship product, a fighter jet developed at a cost of countless money, was copied by others, and the appearance was exactly the same. Do you think the host is happy? Everyone, tell me, what should we do about this matter? Sitting in the main seat, John Snyder, then CEO of Saab, spoke. As soon as the voice fell, a senior executive said indignantly, "Boss, we must protest to Xinhan. This is naked plagiarism. We must make them compensate us for our losses and stop infringing on our rights." Mr. Carl is a bit too naive. Do you think this is an ordinary commodity? This is a fighter jet. How could they withdraw it because of your protest? One person retorted. Carl was furious. Harry, what do you mean? Are we allowed to plagiarize? Harry shook his head. That's not what I mean. I mean, plagiarism must be protested, but the possibility of it having an effect is very slim. After a pause, Harry smiled and said, "In fact, everyone thinks this matter is too serious. Fighter aircraft is the crown of industry. How difficult is it to develop a fighter aircraft? Our Saab company has been developing for decades and has absorbed European and American technology to develop to this point. And many parts are still used in the United States, Gaul, and other countries, while Xinhan is just a small Southeast Asian country. There is no industrial foundation and zero experience in the aviation field. I think the Gripen fighter jet tested by Xinhan this time is just a show. I guess it must be technical support from Longhua. You all know that the Jin 10 fighter developed by Longhua also uses a canard layout. With the relationship between the two countries, I think it is very likely that Xinhan asked Longhua to customize the fighter jet and then shipped it to Xinhan for assembly. The fighter plane should use the engine and avionics equipment of Longhua. The performance is far from that of our Gripen fighter. When selling fighter planes, we sell performance. I believe that our Gripen fighter plane is definitely not comparable to counterfeit products. So, there is no need to worry too much. After a pause, Harry continued, "Of course, although the performance of the Nukem fighter plane is not as good as ours, the customer group is the same. We should prohibit the export of any parts to Nukem. At the same time, we should prevent Nukem from obtaining related parts from Gaul and the United States. We should apply to the United States to prohibit the export of parts to Nukem. Under this ban, I believe that the Nukem version of the Gripen fighter plane will not be able to continue due to parts problems." After Harry's explanation, everyone's face eased a lot. Yes, fighter planes are not just copying the shell. The most important thing is the parts inside, which determines the performance of the fighter plane this time. Longhua fighter planes are not as good as their Gripen fighter planes, let alone Nukem. Thinking of this, everyone's face relaxed a lot. Harry is right, we don't have to worry too much. However, it is still necessary to ban the export of spare parts to Xinhan. Didn't we sell them more than 10 Gripen fighters before? I don't think we will do business with them in the future. If so, their fighters will not fly for long before they cannot fly again due to the lack of spare parts. An executive expressed his thoughts and received nods from everyone. John Snyder, after a moment's silence, also felt that Harry and others were right, and that there was no need for them to be frightened. Just do what Harry said. Express strong protest to Xinhan, ask it to apologize immediately, stop the infringement, and compensate for the relevant losses. John Snyder made the decision. The protest at Saab was quickly conveyed to the Swiss government. Saab is a key enterprise in Switzerland. After learning of the infringement, it immediately expressed its cooperation. Then the Swiss diplomats contacted Xinhan to protest the infringement. Xinhan, Chang'an, the palace. Your Highness. What's the matter? Just now, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs received a letter of protest from the Swiss Saab company, saying that our fighter jets infringed their Gripen fighter jets and demanded that they stop infringing immediately, otherwise they will bear the consequences. Lin Na said solemnly and loudly. You will bear the consequences? Xiao Yunhai showed sarcasm. Why are you still threatening? Do you really take yourself seriously? Don't pay attention to them, they will stop calling in a few days. At this time, the more you pay attention to them, the more they will be arrogant. Besides, the appearance of the fighter jets is similar, and it's not just this time. Many countries didn't start by imitating, so don't pay attention to them. Lin Na nodded. Okay, Your Highness. By the way, Xiao Yunhai remembered something. Contact the Minister of Defense. I have seen him many times.
Yes.
Half an hour later. In the room, there was a knock on the door. Come in. Click, the door opened and Lin Na walked in. Your Highness, the Minister of Defense has been brought in. Well, let him in.
Yes.
After a moment, Chung Lin walked in. Hello, Your Highness. Xiao Yunhai looked up, looked at Yu Chung Lin in front of him, and said with a smile, sit down. After that, he stood up and walked over. The two sat down on the sofa. The new year is coming soon. The Air Force will develop vigorously next year. Your military should be prepared. My suggestion is to build 4 Air Force bases in Beihai Province and Donghai Province to meet the needs of Air Force expansion. Beihai has an Air Force base, but facing the provocative Philippine monkeys, Xiao Yunhai feels it is necessary to add 2 more Air Force bases behind. Donghai Province is located near the Sulu Sea. It can support the war against the Philippines in the north and Clamp Java in the south. It is in the belly of Xinhan. In fact, the number of Air Force bases in Xinhan is not small. Not counting the mixed use of military and civilians, there are still 9 Air Force bases. Most of them are small bases. There are only 2 large Air Force bases. Adding 2 more can enhance the counterattack capability. Secondly, the expansion of the Air Force is inevitable. At present, the new Han Air Force has 26 F-16 fighters, 12 Gripen fighters, 12 Su, 27 fighters, 7 C-130 Hercules transport aircraft, 4 IL-76 transport aircraft, 16 L-39 trainer aircraft, 25 K-8 trainer aircraft, and 22 A-29 Super Tucano. In addition, there are 18 EC-725 helicopters, 13 UH-1 helicopters, 18 AH-1 armed helicopters, and 24 Black Hawks that have not yet been delivered. This force is no problem to deal with the Philippines and Malaysia, but it is still a little lacking to deal with Java. Besides, New Han is developing, and others are also developing. Take Siam for example. The Siamese Air Force is growing rapidly, and in terms of the number of military aircraft, it is estimated to be the best in Southeast Asia, and it is still buying vigorously. Please give me flowers. So the expansion of the Air Force is inevitable. Because it was said that the new base would be built next year, Yu Qinglin did not mention the military expenditure, but asked about the scale and runway length of the 4 Air Force bases. Build it according to the large Air Force base. Design 2 runways. The runway length is 3,200 meters, and it can take off large transport aircraft. Anyway, there is money, so just repair it better, and we will also need to buy transport aircraft in the future, and the next step is to train airborne troops. There are too many islands in Xinhan, and military aircraft are undoubtedly the fastest way to quickly deploy troops. In the past, there was no money to do these. Now that we have money, it is necessary to strengthen our strength in this area, just like the big dog owners in the Middle East. When you have money, you like to buy. Besides, if Xiao Yunhai buys and consumes, the system can return points. So it must be done. Hearing that 4 large Air Force bases were to be built at one time, Yu Qinglin was secretly shocked, surprised. Needless to say, the Air Force will add a lot of military aircraft in the next few years. Otherwise, there won't be so many airports. Of course, he is happy to see this. As a soldier, no one doesn't like to strengthen military strength. Not to mention building 4 military airports, he would agree to build 40. November 27th. Xiao Yunhai came to the Military Research Institute again. He asked about the progress of the codenamed White Crane fighter, especially whether it needs major improvements after the first flight. No major improvements are needed. It mainly depends on the needs of the Air Force. As long as the performance requirements are not particularly high, this model can be mass-produced now. Hearing this, Xiao Yunhai nodded and asked about the performance of the aircraft, such as radar search range, maximum flight speed, combat radius, and weapon mounting capacity. These determine whether to mass-produce or wait for further improvements before mass-producing. The maximum flight speed can reach Mach 2, and the combat radius can reach 1,100 kilometers if it is like the prototype, which uses a large amount of carbon fiber composite materials. In terms of weapons, what tasks can be performed? It has 10 racks with a maximum mounting capacity of 7.8 tons, which means that when performing air combat missions, it can carry up to 8 air-to-air missiles. If it is performing ground combat, it depends on the type of bombs hung. Small bombs can be hung with composite racks. 12. In terms of radar, it is based on the optimized and reduced version of the JKL-24 AESA phased array radar. The current maximum detection distance can reach 240 kilometers. I think the performance is 1,000 points ahead. If this fighter really has shortcomings, I think the fuselage is too small. If it was designed a little bigger, the mounting capacity would be further improved, and the combat radius could also be improved. It must be an excellent multi-purpose fighter. Xiao Yunhai nodded when he heard this. As for the fuselage used was the Gripen E. If the original Gripen fighter was used, the mounting capacity would be even weaker. However, as a light fighter, it has a combat radius of 1,100 kilometers and can carry 8 air-to-air missiles, which is already good. At this distance, it can already hit Luzon, and the entire Kalimantan Island is also within the coverage range. And Sulawesi Island in Java is also within the strike range. As a defensive fighter, Xiao Yunhai is okay. If you really want to kick the door, you won't use the Gripen. And if you only carry 4 air-to-air missiles and add auxiliary fuel tanks, can the range be increased to 1,400 kilometers? End. Chapter 73. If we put all our efforts into producing the current model, how many can we produce in a year? Xiao Yunhai asked. He felt that this model was sufficient for now and could be used as a transition period, and it would still be advanced enough for the next 10 years. It certainly cannot be compared with the big countries, but there are only 3 superpowers in the world, and how many of the others have stealth fighters? Therefore, this white crane fighter is enough. As for stealth fighters, they can be developed and iterated, but there is no need to equip them on a large scale. Unless the strength of Xinhan has become a regional power like Gaul and Britain, it is better to keep a low profile before that. The first bird to stick out gets shot. If you develop the economy, everyone thinks you are not a threat. It's nothing more than having a lot of money. Under absolute military strength, having a lot of money is just a piece of fat meat. But if you vigorously develop the military and develop weapons and equipment by yourself and develop stealth fighters, then I'm sorry, you are a threat to me. So I must suppress and sanction you with all my strength. Destroy your economy. Even send people to brainwash your people and carry out color revolutions. In short, I will do everything I can to kill you. Therefore, it may not be a good thing to produce 2 advanced weapons and equipment before you have enough strength. Especially for an island country like Xinhan, it is too easy to blockade it. If we don't consider the material problem, according to the current production line, we can produce 90 aircraft a year with full capacity production. If we add a pulse production line, it should be no problem to produce 200 aircraft a year, provided that we increase production and increase personnel. Xia Qiming thought for a while and said, "Okay, I will increase the manpower and production line for you. In addition, this fighter will be considered for export in the future, so for radar and avionics equipment, your researchers will make a weakened version for foreign trade. For example, for radar, there is no need to use phased array radar, just use Kepler radar, and the same is true for air-to-air missiles. Good things must be kept for home use. The export of weapons and equipment, 003, must be weakened. This is also the routine operation of countries around the world to export weapons. And he has already thought about exporting to Samba, Aten, or North Africa and the Middle East. As for Southeast Asia, Myanmar can consider exporting. Other Southeast Asian countries will not consider exporting. Exporting to Myanmar is because the 2 countries are too far apart, and there is no conflict of interest. In this case, if there is a demand, as long as the money is in place, it can be considered for export. Understood. Xia Qiming nodded in agreement. In addition, the development of twin-engine multi-purpose fighters that can carry more ammunition should also be included in the development process. There are also early warning aircraft. You can consider making changes based on business jets. My requirement is to be able to detect targets within 500 kilometers. Regardless of whether it is a stealth fighter or not, I hope that the early warning aircraft we develop can detect and track it. For details, please refer to the early warning aircraft information I gave you last time about Longwa and the United States. After a pause, Xiao Yunhai continued, also, the helicopter part cannot be left behind. I will give you the relevant technical information later. You can arrange personnel to develop helicopters specifically. With a full set of technical information, top technical experts in various machines and equipment, the research and development is actually not difficult. Other countries may need several years, more than 10 or 20 years to develop a fighter from scratch. Xinhan does not need it. It has everything. It only needs to produce the corresponding parts according to the technical drawings, and then assemble and test them. Xia Qiming nodded. It is easy to do with technical drawings, which saves most of the time. Afterwards, Xiao Yunhai came to a lounge, then turned on the system and found several armed helicopters he had taken a fancy to before. V-280 Helicopter Technical Information Introduction. the third-generation tilt-rotor helicopter of the United States, developed based on the V-22 Osprey helicopter, has low-speed flexibility and high-speed large. The maneuverability and fuel efficiency of the aircraft are ahead of the V-22, and it has a longer range. Price: 20 million points. Bell 360 Attack Helicopter. Introduction. One of the next generation of American attack helicopter models, with a power cabin, transmission system and rotor in the middle of the fuselage, a tail rotor at the tail, and a clear fold line running through the middle of the fuselage, which is conducive to achieving radar stealth effect. Price: 18 million points. Dauntless X General Helicopter. Introduction. The next generation of long-range assault helicopter developed by Boeing and Lockheed for the United States. Its design features two rigid coaxial rotors and a propulsion propeller at the tail, which enables it to cruise at high speed. Its predecessor is the SB-1 Dauntless helicopter. Price: 19 million points. These three helicopters are excellent in both appearance and performance, and the key is that the United States has not put them into service yet. Take the Dauntless X helicopter, for example. Even the original prototype X-2 helicopter has not been born, let alone the Dauntless X helicopter that has been iterated many times. The Dauntless X was not exposed until 2024. Of course, there are other types of helicopters, but Xiao Yunhai thinks these three are the most suitable. 2 general-purpose helicopters and 1 armed reconnaissance helicopter. For a country with many islands like Xinhan, general-purpose helicopters are the most suitable. Take the lead with light helicopters to eliminate potential enemies. Then use general-purpose helicopters for rappelling. After purchasing the 3 technical data, Xiao Yunhai asked someone to pick up the research and development data and take it to Xia Qiming's office, and handed the data to him. This is the technical data of 3 helicopters. Take a look. Next, we will develop 3 helicopters. Well, give priority to the development of Bell 360 armed helicopters. Xiao Yunhai asked someone to pour a cup of tea, sat on a chair, took a sip, and said to Yuan Qiming, who was flipping through the pages. General-purpose helicopters. After the United States delivered the Black Hawk, there were already quite a few, more than 40. On the contrary, armed helicopters are in short supply. Currently, there are only 18 AH-1 armed helicopters, which were purchased more than 10 years ago. The performance of avionics equipment and other equipment is definitely not as good as the new AH-1. So adding Bell 360 armed helicopters can greatly enhance the ground support capability. How long will it take to develop a prototype? Seeing Xia Qiming nod to show that he understood, Xiao Yunhai hurriedly asked. Xia Qiming thought for a while. After hearing this, he said, "If we develop it completely according to the technical data above, we should be able to develop a prototype in half a year at the fastest and a year at the slowest. If your Highness wants to further develop and upgrade it, it will take a long time." Xiao Yunhai shook his head. "No, follow the technical drawings first, and consider whether to iterate after the prototype is made." Xia Qiming nodded. "It should be done in half a year." "Okay, I'll leave these things to you. Whether our Xinhan can achieve military power depends on you." Xiao Yunhai was very happy. He even thought about whether to add more burden to Xia Qiming and develop armored vehicles, but he pushed the idea back. It's better not to give the army equipment to Xia Qiming. He can concentrate on the development of helicopters, fighters, and early warning aircraft. The army tanks, armored vehicles, etc. should be left to Shanghai Automobile Manufacturing Company to develop. The time came to December. Fruits cultivated in greenhouses and using genetic pesticides. Strawberry, cherries, kiwi, pineapple, durian, rambutan, mangosteen. Several new varieties of fruits are officially launched in Xinhan. With modern agricultural technology, many fruits are available all year round. Lu Song is a Chinese from Longhua. He is 37 years old this year and specializes in fruit wholesale business. Every year, he goes to Southeast Asia to get fruits and sells them in Guangdong. After 10 years, he has made a lot of money. Not only does he live in a big villa in Guangzhou, but he also runs more than a dozen retail stalls in Guangzhou and Pengcheng. With the wholesale of fruits, it is not difficult for him to make 7 or 8 million yuan a year. Before, he imported fruits from Siam and Annan. But in the past year, Xinhan and Longhua have signed a trade and economic cooperation agreement, and there is zero tariff on agricultural products between the two countries. And visa-free. He thought about coming to Xinhan to have a look. After all, Xinhan is also a tropical country. Although Xinhan is a little farther than Siam and Annan, it has no tariffs. Just like the previous 2 days, he planned to go around the vegetable market and ask if there was a place to wholesale fruits. He was not looking for the middleman, but the place of origin, Songyu. This is the only way to make money. Buying from middlemen, the profit is much less, and selling it back, you can't make much money. He came to the vegetable market at around 5 in the morning. This time period is the time to stock up. When he arrived, there were already many vehicles and people. Before he got close, he saw a crowd of people gathered around him. He exclaimed, "Is this a strawberry? My God, this strawberry is too big, isn't it? It's bigger than my fist. It looks good, but I don't know if it's sweet. Brother, where did you get these strawberries? How much is it per pound?" "Yes, brother. How much do you sell these strawberries for?" "I'll buy one layer at a time." There was a noisy discussion. Fist-sized strawberries? Lu Song was startled. There are strawberries this big? With curiosity, he quickly squeezed into the crowd and saw several people unloading boxes of strawberries from the car. Each foam box was filled with strawberries, which were very big. It completely overturned his perception of strawberries. In his memory, strawberries were only slightly bigger than plums, but the strawberries he saw were about the same size as apples, and they were big apples. It felt like this strawberry weighed 3 taels. This was the first time he had seen such strawberries. "Brother, your strawberry looks a bit like the island country's Myrenji?" Hearing this, the man looked at Lu Song and smiled. "You have good taste." They didn't recognize it. "Yes, it is indeed Myrenji. What's wrong with Myrenji strawberry? This strawberry is expensive." Fruit vendors may not be able to recognize the variety of strawberries. After all, there are too many kinds of strawberries, up to hundreds of them. It is difficult for people who are not specialized in selling strawberries, or who often eat strawberries, to distinguish the variety of strawberries by appearance. Seeing the heated discussions and curiosity around them, Lu Song explained, "Bajinji strawberries are a type of strawberry grown on the island. They are very expensive, costing $300 or $400 per pound. If they're bigger, they are even more expensive, costing $500 or $600, or even thousands of dollars. However, this is the first time I have seen such a large Bajinji strawberry." "What? So much for 1 pound? Are you trying to rob me?" $300 or $400, if converted into our currency, wouldn't it be 1,000 Chinese yuan? Hey, can eating these strawberries cause hernia? This price is too expensive. The strawberries I bought the day before yesterday were only a dozen yuan, and I thought it was expensive. Now they say this strawberry costs 1,000 yuan per pound. Hey, it's too scary. Who can afford such a high price? What you said is the lowest price. Didn't you hear what this brother said? The bigger the strawberry, the more expensive it is. According to what this brother said, this strawberry must cost 5,000 or 6,000 yuan per caddy. Kofa. Everyone was talking at once, and they were all shocked by the price of the beauty strawberry variety. They were all curious about how much this buyer was going to sell it for per caddy. "Little brother, how much do you plan to sell this strawberry for per caddy?" The man heard, "It's not expensive, not as exaggerated as you think. This strawberry is cultivated and produced in our country. Well, the price is 500 Han Yuan per month." With the previous preparation, after hearing 500 Han Yuan per caddy, everyone felt that this price was quite cheap. After all, according to what the little brother just said, it would cost several thousand yuan per caddy. "Brother, give me a pound. I want to taste it. What's the difference between these strawberries?" A pork seller took out money and said, "F***K, Lee the butcher, you're buying it at such a high price? Buy it. I want to see if it makes me immortal." Seeing that there are customers buying, the boss is naturally happy to sell it. 500 yuan per pound, his purchase cost is 410 yuan per pound, plus the transportation cost. In fact, it is almost 420 yuan. Of course, the stall fee and labor expenses must be considered, but it is still no problem to make 40 to 50 yuan per pound. 4 strawberries weigh 1 pound and 1 ounce. The butcher also paid more money. Then he washed it with the tap next to him, and then, under the eyes of everyone, he couldn't wait to take a bite. Delicious. It's so delicious. Sweet and delicate, no residue, just the right sweetness, and very juicy. The butcher took another bite and showed an expression of enjoyment, seeing the people around him drooling. And without the butcher saying anything, they also smelled a faint strawberry aroma. Lu Song's eyes lit up. Although he had never wholesaled the Beauty Princess strawberries, he had eaten them, and more than once. However, the Beauty Princess strawberries produced in the island country, although delicious, were definitely not like these Beauty Princess strawberries, which actually had a faint strawberry aroma. "Boss, give me a pound too." Realizing some business opportunities, Lu Song said to the strawberry boss, "Pay money. Wash the strawberries. Then take a bite." The strawberry juice instantly filled the entire mouth. Hey, it really has a strawberry fruit aroma. The sweetness is also just right, not sweet and greasy. And there is really no fruit residue. It's amazing. This strawberry tastes so good. Lu Song was overjoyed. If there weren't many bosses around, he would have wanted to ask immediately where these strawberries were bought. The selling price is 500 Chinese yuan per caddy. The cost is at most between 420 to 450. It's not even that much. You can guess how much profit you can make by doing fruit wholesale business. This price is much cheaper than the beauty princess of the island country. If you buy it, you can supply it to the rich and five-star restaurants, and you will definitely make a fortune. Guangdong and Pengcheng are not short of rich people. At that time, you can open up channels to cities such as Magic City and Yinjing. Lu Song thinks this business has great potential. Driven by the two or three more people in the market bought it, all in partnership. Everyone wants to try it. What is the difference between these sky-high strawberries and this? Xinghan Agricultural Company did not wait for buyers to come, but looked for buyers on the internet, especially in the United States, Europe, and the Middle East. Of course, dragon countries Hong Kong, Taiwan, and the mainland were not forgotten. The base is large, and there are still many rich people seeking buyers. Everyone knows that fruits cannot be kept for long after they mature. If they are not sold quickly, they will rot. Therefore, people who run fruit businesses frantically seek buyers or do promotional marketing before the fruits are sold. In order to promote the fruit products of Xinghan Agricultural Company, Xiao Yunhai also asked Oasis Investment Company and the Royal Investment Bureau to cooperate in publicity. Let the social media and news websites invested by these two companies promote them. More often, through diplomatic channels, contact the wealthy countries in the Middle East such as Saudi camel, UAE, Kakamel, and Qatar camel to see if there is demand. If so, they will be directly airlifted to their doorsteps. Of course, the cost of the aircraft must be included. After seeing the samples, the royal families of these wealthy countries came to buy tens of millions of dollars of goods without saying a word. For the royal families of these wealthy countries, every day when they wake up, they think about how to spend money. P.S. Please subscribe. End. Chapter 74. Vegetable Market. Wait for the crowd to disperse. Lu Song specifically found the boss who sold strawberries before. He bought another 5 kilograms directly. He spent 2,500 Han Yuan, which is more than 7,000 yuan in Longhua currency. He felt a little distressed. But in order to get the information he needed, Lu Song had to grit his teeth. Brother, tell me, what's the matter? Since you bought so many strawberries, I will definitely help you if I can. The boss was not stupid. Seeing that he bought so many but did not leave, he immediately guessed that something was wrong. Seeing that the boss guessed that he had something to do, Lu Song smiled slightly, without the slightest embarrassment, and said with a smile, "Boss, you have a sharp eye, and you can see through it at a glance. I do have something to ask the boss. I am from Longhua, specializing in fruit wholesale business, selling your country's fruits to Longhua. I think these strawberries are pretty good, and I want to ask, where did you buy your strawberries wholesale? Longhua people?" The boss was a little surprised.
Yes.
Lu Song nodded and took out his passport. The boss took a look and handed the passport to Lu Song, saying, "Since you take care of my business and the people of Longhua, I will tell you that all these fruits are purchased from Xinjiang County in Nanyang, a company called Xinghan Agricultural Company. It is said that this agricultural company has a royal background. Although the products are expensive, they are really good." Nanyang, Xinjiang County? Lu Song was confused. He had just come to Xinhan, so he didn't know where Xinjiang County was. You can find a store and buy a map. Seeing his confused look, the boss kindly reminded him and said, "It's not far from here. It only takes more than an hour by car." Hearing this, Jigwa hurriedly thanked him. "Thank you, boss. You're welcome. I'm also considering that you bought so many strawberries, otherwise I wouldn't tell you." The boss told the truth. If Lu Song was a new Han Chinese, he would not say it. After all, if he said it, you would also go to buy fruits from other places, and everyone would come to buy them, and the competition would be fierce. If you fight a price war, you would not make much money. Lu Song has been in the fruit wholesale business for so many years, how could he not know? That's why he bought so many strawberries and emphasized that he was a foreigner. He quickly expressed his gratitude. Then Lu Song bought a map at a nearby store and found Xinjiang County. He also asked the locals how to get to Xinjiang County. Chung County. After a busy period, he arrived at Xinjiang County at 12 noon, where Xinghan Agricultural Company was located. Because of the lunch break, no one was there to receive him, so he had to wait until 2 p.m. after work to be received. "Hello, I am the marketing manager, Yu Jia. I heard that you want to cooperate with us?" Hearing the words of the man in front of him, Lu Song nodded and quickly took out his business card and handed it to the other party, Hello, Manager Yu. My name is Liu. Longwa people? Yu just saw the business card, and his eyes were slightly surprised. Yes. Lu Song nodded. I am in the fruit business, mainly transporting fruits from Southeast Asian countries to Longwa for sale. Understood. Yu just smiled and said, Mr. Liu, how do you want to cooperate? It's like this. I saw your strawberries, which are big and good. I want to wholesale a batch of goods to Longwa. I wonder how much it costs. Price? It depends on how much you want to buy. Yu just smiled and said, if you buy less than 500 kilograms, it will be 420 yuan. If you buy 1,000 to 2,000 kilograms at a time, it will be 400 yuan per kilogram. If you buy more than 5,000 kilograms at a time, you can do 380 yuan per kilogram. This is the lowest price. There is no lower price. Lu Song quickly calculated in his mind how much he would have to sell to make a profit after he brought it back to Longwa, and how much market sales would be for such expensive fruits. Of course, these are all his estimates, based on his many years of experience. Then let's start with 5,000 kilograms. After thinking for a while, Lu Song said the number he estimated. He didn't dare to take too much. After all, the price of this strawberry is really expensive. I have never bought such expensive fruits before, so I am not sure. I am afraid that if I buy too much, I will lose money. And at the price of 380 yuan, Chinese yuan, per caddy, these 5,000 caddies will cost 1.9 million Chinese yuan, which is more than 5.8 million renminbi when converted into RMB, which has accounted for most of his cash flow. At the purchase price of 380 Chinese yuan, including transportation costs, labor costs, and advance payment risks, it must be sold at least 1,500 yuan, RMB, per caddy. Such a high price can only be supplied to the upper class. Hearing that Lu Song wanted to buy 5,000 caddies, Yuzha still admired him a little. After determining the price and quantity, Yuzhou took Lu Song to visit the planting base. I saw a lot of bright and large strawberries, all the size of a fist. At a glance, there are at least hundreds of acres. According to what he saw, this plantation is probably worth billions of RMB. After signing the contract and agreeing to ship the goods the day after tomorrow, Lu Song immediately contacted the country. First, let the news go out to see if there are any wholesale orders. Then arrange logistics and storage, which were his normal business operations before. Previously, the imported fruits from Siam and Annan were not sold out in a day or two, and refrigerated cabinets were needed to extend the freshness of the fruits as much as possible. After everything was arranged, he found a logistics company in Xinhan and entrusted it to deliver this batch of goods to Longwa Yangqing. It was transported by air. It would definitely not work by sea. It would take at least 2 days, or even 3 days to transport from Xinhan to Guangdong. Strawberries don't have a long storage time like durian. The longer the delay, the greater the loss. Besides, it was the first time to deal with such expensive fruits, so caution is king. 2 days later, he came to Xinqiang County and personally supervised the delivery of this batch of goods, worth nearly 6 million yuan to the airport, and then he took a passenger plane back to Longwa Yangqing. Longwa, Yinjing, did you send me something? That day, Lu Tianxian returned home after finishing her filming work and received a call from a courier. At first, she was a little curious because she didn't buy anything. When she saw that the courier came from overseas and was sent from Xinhan, she immediately guessed that it was from Xiao Yunhai. So, she called. Well, how is it? Did you receive the things? Xiao Yunhai put down the documents in his hand, relaxed his body, leaned on the sofa chair, and asked with a smile, I just received it and haven't opened it yet. Why did you think of sending something to me? And what is it that is so heavy? Good stuff. Open it, and you will know what it is. Hearing this, Lu Tianxian put down the phone in her hand, got up and found a knife, cut open the package and the foam box inside, and then there was an exquisitely packaged iron box. After opening the iron box with force, is this a strawberry? Looking at the strawberry as big as a sandbag in front of her, Lu Tianxian's delicate face showed a look of surprise, and her mouth opened wide, with a look of astonishment. Yes, this is a kind of strawberry cultivated by an agricultural company under my control. It has a delicate, sweet, juicy taste and is very delicious. Moreover, eating more of this thing is good for the body and can slow down the aging of people. What? You said that this fruit can also slow down aging? Yes, this strawberry contains some beneficial molecules that can slow down aging. It just means that it can slow down aging, not that you can really become younger after eating it. Regarding strawberries, no, to be precise, genetic pesticides. In the process of cultivating fruits, researchers have discovered a factor that can slow down human aging. So, when he said that it can slow down aging, he was not lying, but just said that the effect is minimal. Hearing that it can slow down aging, these strawberries instantly became a hot commodity in Lu Tianqian's eyes. He immediately took one and rushed into the kitchen to wash it, and then returned to the sofa in the living room to eat a strawberry. Instantly, it felt half burst, and the strawberry juice filled the whole mouth and flowed into the throat and finally into the stomach. This strawberry has a lot of water, so sweet, and tastes like strawberry. It's delicious. She had eaten a lot of strawberries, including those that cost hundreds of yuan per pound, but in terms of taste, the strawberries in front of her were undoubtedly the best, and they really had the aroma of strawberries. Unlike other strawberries, saying they had the aroma of strawberries was just a description. The strawberries you cultivated are so delicious. Why don't you send more? After eating a strawberry, she felt a little full, and looked at the remaining 6 strawberries in the iron box, thinking it was too little. If you want to eat more, I'll send you more in a few days. I'll also send you some pineapples, cherries, kiwis, and durians, so you can eat as much as you want. Xiao Yunhai said with a smile. Lu Tianxian asked curiously, are these fruits you mentioned also new varieties cultivated by your company? Are they as delicious as strawberries? Well, they are new varieties cultivated. As for whether they are delicious or not, you will know when you eat them. Okay then. Lu Tianxian crossed her legs and looked at the gift box in front of her. She seemed to think of something. She opened her mouth slightly and said with a smile, you sent me a box of strawberries from a long distance. There must be something wrong. Tell me, do you want me to promote it for you? Look at what you said. I sent some delicious food to my own daughter. Why do you think it is so utilitarian in your mouth? You know, this is the first batch of strawberries on the market. I arranged for someone to send it to you as soon as possible. Your words are really sad. Lu Tianxian was very happy to hear that the strawberries were sent to her as soon as they were on the market, but it was not so easy to convince her. Don't give me that. I don't know you yet. Hearing that, Xiao Yunhai stopped quibbling and said with a smile, okay, as you think, when you have nothing to do, take some pictures, post them on Weibo in moments, and promote it. Humph, the fox's tail is exposed, I said. You must be in trouble. For the sake of strawberries, this girl will not argue with you. Don't worry, I will post on Weibo later. By the way, how much is your strawberry box? How much is a box? I'm not sure. It seems that this kind of gift box in Xinhan sells for 1,200 Han yuan for 2 kilograms. What? How much? Lu Tianxian thought she had heard it wrong. 1,200 Han yuan. Xiao Yunhai repeated the price. Hiss. I was sure he had heard it right. Lu Tianxian took a breath. Shocked. Your strawberries are too expensive, right? Who can afford them? 1,200 Han yuan, converted into Longhua RMB, is more than 3,700 yuan. She has now paid more than 1 million yuan for a movie, more than 2 million yuan at best. That is to say, she made money from filming for a few months, and at most she could eat more than 500 boxes of strawberries packaged like this. And this price is still new Han. The dealers will definitely not sell them at this price in Longhua. Is it expensive? I think it's okay. These strawberries are better than those in the island country. Strawberries in the island country can be sold for hundreds of dollars each, and mine are only $100 or $200 per kilogram. I think it's quite affordable, and my strawberries can also slow down aging. Lu Tianxian shook her head. That's true, but forget it. I don't understand the matter, so I won't say anything. I wanted to persuade them about the high price, but then I thought, I don't understand business, so I'd better not interrupt. The two chatted for a while, and after half an hour of long phone calls, they hung up the phone. Afterwards, Xiao Yunhai called Lu Shishir and Demimi and asked them to help post the information about strawberries on Weibo. The 3 women have more than 30 million Weibo fans in total. Even if half of them overlap, there are 15 million. This is more effective than advertising on TV. Just when Xiao Yunhai called the other 2 women, Lu Xiaoli also came back from outside and saw the strawberries on the table. She asked in surprise, is this a strawberry? Why are they so big? Where did they come from? She looked at her daughter curiously. Lu Tianxian said, Xiao Yunhai sent it. Xiao Hai sent it? Why did he think of sending this to you? Lu Xiaoli 370 said in silence. This is a new variety cultivated by an agricultural company under his control. It is said to be able to slow down aging. I think it is a bit exaggerated. Slow down aging? Lu Xiaoli's eyes lit up, and she reached out to take a strawberry, stood up, and walked to the kitchen while saying, Xiao Hai said so it must be effective. After quickly rinsing it, Lu Xiaoli took a bite and nodded. It tastes good. Looking at her mother who was eating it in big mouthfuls, Lu Tianxian smiled and said, Mom, do you know how much the strawberries in your hand cost? How much? A few yuan? Or more than 10 yuan? Lu Xiaoli disagreed. Lu Tianxian shook her head. Not more than 10 yuan, but hundreds of yuan.
What?
How much? Hundreds of yuan? Looking at her mother, who was surprised when she heard the price, Lu Tianxian was very happy.
Yes.
He said that this box of 2 caddy strawberries will be sold for 1,200 Han yuan in Xinhan, which is more than 3,000 yuan in Longwa currency. There are 7 strawberries in total, so how much is one, not hundreds of yuan?
XX.
Lu Xiaoli was also shocked and couldn't speak at this moment. Looking at the strawberries in her hand, she spent dozens of yuan in one bite? My God, this thing is too expensive. Lu Xiaoli smacked her lips. She didn't dare to eat it. One strawberry costs hundreds of yuan. Even if a person with a net worth of tens of millions eats this strawberry, he still feels a little panic or reluctant. It's quite expensive, but it's really delicious. Lu Tianxian picked up her phone, took a picture of her legs in front of the gift box, and then uploaded it to Weibo with the text, "A gift from a friend, with strawberries in it. It tastes good, but the price is too high." After the message was sent out, someone replied soon. And more people responded. Oh my God, is this a strawberry? Oh my God, this is the first time I've seen such a big strawberry. Goddess, where did you buy the fruit? It looks delicious. I want to eat it too. The news immediately sparked heated discussions and became a hot search. Hashtag Lu Tianxian recommends eating strawberries. Hashtag Lu Tianxian also calls the fruit expensive. The news quickly fermented on the internet under the promotion of some people. For a time, how expensive was the fruit that Lu Tianxian couldn't afford? Soon someone exposed the prices of strawberries and other new cultivated fruits. Everyone was shocked. 1 kilogram of strawberries cost thousands of yuan, which is simply a robbery. They complained that the price was too expensive. 1 month's salary can only buy 4 or 5 kilograms. Some complained that they could only buy more than 2 kilograms. However, after someone reported that this strawberry has the effect of slowing down aging, the sales volume has obviously increased a lot. The sales amount has not only not decreased, but also increased against the trend. It surprised many people who were ready to laugh at the joke. I can't understand why the situation that was so badly hit turned around.
End.
Chapter 75. Reversal. And because the quantity in Longwa is very small, as a result, the high-priced strawberries are in short supply. Who has this kind of strawberry? Please give me enough. I just searched, and we don't have it sold locally. I know a channel. If you want it, please PM me. I have sent a private message to the person above. Please reply. Please reply. Don't even mention a few thousand yuan per pound. As long as it works, I'd be willing to spend tens of thousands of yuan on it. In recent years, Longwa's economy has developed rapidly, giving birth to a large number of local tyrants and wealthy people, especially in the Pearl River Delta and Yangtze River Delta regions. Rich people gather here. It's the same reason as the tea that costs thousands or tens of thousands of yuan per pound, and Maodai that costs thousands of yuan per bottle. Aren't they all hyped up? Things are precious because they are rare. What's more, it's said that this thing can slow down aging. Don't worry about whether it's true or not. Just spend some money to buy it and try it. Yangcheng. Lu Song, who hasn't paid attention to the online events yet, is now contacting the people who used to wholesale with him through his own channels to see if they want the goods. At the same time, he is also using his dozen stores to contact outside sales. But when he quoted 1,500 yuan per kilogram, they were all scared away. The sales of the store were dismal. Seeing this, his wife began to complain that he didn't use his brain when purchasing the goods. How could such expensive strawberries be sold? After being scolded too much, Lu Song, who was in a bad mood, angrily said, "Shut up, what do you know? Okay, Mr. Lu, you dare to be mean to me? I gave birth to 3 children for you, and you are so heartless." Ding-a-ling-a-ling. Lu Song, who was in a bad mood, was about to lose his temper when his cell phone rang. He picked it up and saw that it was one of his old customers. "Hello, brotherly, yes, and what? You want 200 kilograms? Okay, I'll send it to you right away." The woman who was throwing a tantrum asked hurriedly, "Honey, is there anyone who wants the goods?" Humph. Lu Song was proud and hummed. Brotherly just called and asked for 200 kilograms. "Woman, what do you know? Are you still worried that it can't be sold?" The woman was stubborn and refused to admit defeat. "It's only 200 kilograms. You bought 5,000 kilograms, which is far from enough." Kr. Lu Song was about to speak when the phone rang again. "Hello? Sister Wu, strawberries?" "Yes, and more. How many do you want?" 250 kilograms? Okay, no problem. I'll arrange for it to be delivered right away. After hanging up the phone, Lu Song looked at his woman with contempt. Look, it's only been a short time, and 450 kilograms have been sold. The woman's face also changed to flattering. You know, selling 1 kilogram of strawberries can make a net profit of 300 yuan. If all 5,000 kilograms are sold, it will be 1.5 million yuan. These 2 calls seem to be the beginning of a good fortune. Lu Song received calls from several bosses who had asked him to wholesale fruit. At the same time, more than a dozen stores under his control also received good news. The sky-high priced fruit suddenly became a hot commodity with so many people wanting it. This inevitably made him curious. Honey, I checked it out. It's on Weibo. Some celebrities are promoting it. There are also rumors that this kind of strawberry can slow down people's aging. Aging? Lu Song curled his lips and thought it was just a gimmick. However, this is a good thing. The bigger the gimmick, the more people will be inspired to buy, the bigger the market will be, and his sky-high priced fruits can be sold. However, it is obviously impossible for him to monopolize the business. After seeing the business opportunity, many fruit business owners went to Xinhan to purchase. At the same time, Xinhan Agricultural Company also began to exert its strength in the European and American markets, invited some biomedical experts to make identifications, then promoted the fruits launched by Xinhan Agricultural Company, which are rich in various substances needed by the human body. This is not a rumor made out of thin air. In fact, it has been detected that there is an ingredient that can slow down aging, but the amount is very small. Despite this, it still caused a sensation. As long as it is related to youth and aging, it has always been sought after by people. For Xinhan and Longhua and other developing countries, strawberries at $200 or $300 per kilogram are sky-high prices. But for European and American countries that earn euros and dollars, this price is not very cheap. For example, an Australian lobster costs $300 to $500, and staying in some luxury hotels costs thousands of dollars a night. A pound of strawberries costs $200 to $300, which is not unacceptable. Moreover, Europeans and Americans are different from Asians. They basically don't save money. They live paycheck to paycheck and spend money as they earn. Moreover, the fruits launched by Xinhan Agricultural Company are not only strawberries, but also cherries, kiwis, pineapples, etc., which cost tens of dollars per pound and $100 or $200 per pound. If you can't afford strawberries, you can buy other types of fruits from Xinhan Agricultural Company. They are all rich in many elements that are beneficial to the human body. Therefore, you can see cargo planes flying around the world. The world is not short of rich people, but what it lacks is things that make them feel superior. This is the same as luxury goods in Europe and the United States. The more expensive the things are, the more the rich like to buy them. It's just that in the past, the people who made this money were all Europeans and Americans, and this time it was replaced by Xinhan. Things change. With a large investment in advertising and marketing, the fruit sales of Xinhan Agricultural Company increased significantly, so that later, all kinds of fruits produced in this season were sold out. In order to further increase production, Xinhan Agricultural Company decided to expand production capacity and add another 2,000 employees. Of course, this is all later. The popularity of Xinhan fruit products, one caddy sold for $200 or $300, which made Siam, Annan, Java, and other countries very jealous. Their fruits, let alone $200 or $300. They didn't even sell for $20 or $30. They all wanted to raise prices to get a share, resulting in a sharp decline in sales. Others sold so expensively because of the variety, but what about you? You used to sell for a few dollars a caddy, but now you want to sell for dozens of dollars a caddy. You want nothing. Siam, Annan, and other countries, unwilling to fail, their fruit product merchants bought some, and then took them back to cultivate and plant them, but the hair didn't grow tin. You know, before launching the sky-high priced fruit, Xiao Yunhai considered this problem. Only by using the genetic pesticides launched by Xinhan Agricultural Company can it grow so well and so big. If you cut half of the strawberry, or throw the seeds or cores of kiwi fruit into the soil, do you think you can grow as big and sweet as the fruit products launched by Xinhan Agricultural Company? It's just wishful thinking. After being slapped by reality, merchants from Siam, Annan, and other countries became more honest, and the old man sold them fruits for $1 or $2. After the fruit products became popular, Xiao Yunhai also came to Hanyang Province and Xinqiang County to inspect Xinhan Agricultural Company. The temperature was suitable that day. The temperature of just 20 degrees made people feel very comfortable. A fleet of more than a dozen vehicles squatted in front of the office building of Xinhan Agricultural Company. More than 20 people including Xiao Yunhai, the Ministry of Agriculture, the governor of Hanyang province, and officials from Xinjiang County got off the car. Liang Bo came to greet them with the company's senior executives. Your Highness, welcome to visit I. Xiao Yunhai smiled and said, it's nice here, the environment is good, and the transportation is convenient. I just saw that many logistics refrigerated trucks are lined up. Are they here to pick up goods? Liang Bo, yes, Your Highness, these are all lined up. That's good. It means that your fruit business is doing very well. Good thing. Xiao Yunhai, let's go in and take a look. Liang Bo turned sideways and made a gesture of invitation. Your Highness, leaders, please come in. The group came to the service center. Monitoring room. Dozens of screens played pictures from different angles. The screen showed real-time shooting pictures of the park. Liang Bo said, Your Highness, leaders, through this monitoring system, we can check the growth situation in real time. And we have an artificial intelligence system to analyze data based on soil, air, and moisture. Whether this area is dry, whether it needs watering, how much water to water, how much pesticide to spray, what pesticide to spray, when to pick, etc. are all required. Xiao Yunhai looked at the big screen and nodded. It's a bit like the smart farm used in American movies. It's pretty good. The combination of technology and agriculture is the main direction of future agricultural development. In addition, what is this area used for? Xiao Yunhai pointed to an area under construction on the hillside. Liang Bo looked at it and replied, Your Highness, this is the second phase of the project. Phase 2. Yes. Liang Bo explained, in view of the current market situation, we plan to expand, plant more fruit trees, and cultivate more fruits to meet market demand. Is it a bit aggressive? Xiao Yunhai asked. Fortunately, our management has analyzed that with the current market demand, our production capacity is still far from enough. Yes. Xiao Yunhai nodded. Can you tell me how much revenue you have achieved so far? Liang Bo smiled slightly. Your Highness, you are joking. It's not inconvenient. It has been on the market for more than half a month. The specific figures are unclear, but I have counted it before. The current revenue is 1.3 billion Han yuan. 1.3 billion. It only took more than half a month. Not bad, very impressive. Xiao Yunhai nodded with satisfaction. It is better than he expected, because more than 400 million US dollars were sold in half a month. Of course, he also knows that this is the early stage of the listing when it became popular. Now the hype is strong. When the hype cools down, it will inevitably decline. Let's go to the garden and take a look. Xiao Yunhai still wanted to visit the site and take a look, even though he had seen it in the cultivation laboratory before. After a while, the group came to the kiwi fruit plantation and saw several uniformed staff members. Xiao Yunhai stopped two of them. After seeing Xiao Yunhai, the two also saluted with encouragement. Waving his hand, Xiao Yunhai asked, How is it? Do you think it's good to work here? It's good. Here we provide food and accommodation, and the salary is high. Except for occasional overtime, we basically get off work on time, and we get overtime pay after work. I like this job very much. It's easier than farming before, and I get more money. The company also spends money to buy commercial insurance for us. The money I get every month is about the same as the salary of my kid. Xiao Yunhai said in a joking tone. Are you talking to me because you see me coming to inspect? No, Your Highness, this job is really good. I can get 2,200 yuan a month. I'm almost 50 years old. Whether I work outside or farm, I can't earn so much. Moreover, the company is very humane and often pays money on holidays. Yes, Your Highness, we are not lying. It's really good. I am happy at work, and the company never forces overtime. Seeing the two people rushing to explain, Xiao Yunhai nodded slightly. 2,200 Han yuan. Now the exchange rate has risen. Converted into Dragon country currency, it is almost 7,000 yuan. This income is about the same as the monthly salary of some office workers in some companies. It is only 300 yuan less than the salary of ordinary civil servants. This is when the civil servant's salary increases. Before the increase, it was not so much. Okay, as long as you are happy at work, Xiao Yunhai said with satisfaction. Isn't what he does to make the people live a good life? Now a woman who is almost 50 years old can get 2,200 Han yuan. How many countries can do this? And pay commercial insurance. 2,200 Han yuan. If one person uses it, it is more than enough in Xinhan. Unless you buy luxury fruits like Xinhan Agricultural Company, there will be surplus for normal consumption. After chatting with the two for a while, the group continued to visit. Xiao Yunhai praised, this orchard production-based model is very well done. The people are happy to work, which shows that Mr. Liang, you have done a good job. Liang Bo smiled and said, this is what we should do. The workers have made efforts, and they should get enough rewards. You said it well, but unfortunately many people can't do it. Xiao Yunhai sighed. By the way, I heard that your company is still researching pesticides? Yes, Your Highness. The pesticides used in our orchard products are all researched by our company. They are non-toxic and harmless and beneficial to agricultural production. Is it only effective for fruits? Or is it useful for all agriculture, such as rice?
Yes.
That's good. Don't hide good things. I suggest that your company can consider supplying pesticides to the people across the country, Zhao Hao. Don't hide good things, so that the people engaged in agriculture can also enjoy this dividend. Your Highness is right. Our company does have this plan, and it is still being perfected.
Yes.
After saying so much and acting in front of everyone, the main purpose is to supply pesticides to the people across the country. Minister Zhou, the Minister of Agriculture, who was accompanying the inspection, hurried forward upon hearing this. Your Highness? Yes, I just communicated with Mr. Liang. The pesticides developed by their company are very good and have a great effect on the growth of grains. They will be willing to sell this pesticide to the people across the country. In order to protect the interests of the people and safeguard the interests of the country, I hope the Ministry of Agriculture will pay attention to this matter. At the same time, it also prevents people from reselling this pesticide abroad. So I suggest that your Ministry of Agriculture communicate with the Customs Department to ensure that this pesticide is not circulated overseas. At the end, Xiao Yunhai looked very serious. It is impossible to absolutely prevent circulation. There will definitely be people smuggling. After all, as long as there is profit, there will be people who have crooked ideas. Small-scale smuggling is not a big problem, as long as it is not circulated on a large scale, thus affecting the income of the people. As for whether the pesticide will affect the sales of fruit products of Xinghan Agricultural Company after it is circulated, the problem will not be too big. The reason why Xinghan strawberries, durians, and watermelons are so good is that the Research Institute recombines and cultivates the genes of the seeds. So, it is useless to just get the pesticide. Of course, using Xinghan's pesticides is definitely better than other pesticides, and it has a certain improvement effect on the original agricultural products. Hearing this, the Minister of Agriculture hurriedly said, "Please rest assured, Your Highness, the Ministry of Agriculture will set up a special department to cooperate with the customs to crack down on smuggling in this regard." Well, this matter must be kept in mind and must not be sloppy. Xiao Yunhai said in a deep voice. Minister of Agriculture, yes.
And
Chapter 76. Seeing that his goal had been achieved, Xiao Yunhai did not stay for too long. Late December. Chang'an, an Air Force base. Many people came. The 24-60 million Mauritanian Ugias Black Hawk helicopters and many spare parts ordered from Sikorsky Corporation of the United States were delivered today. As the person in charge of military equipment procurement, Xiao Yunhai naturally attended today's Wuyan acceptance ceremony. At this time, at the airport in the military base, there were dense helicopters in the sky, a large black mass. Many people living around the base were very curious whether a military exercise was being conducted. Some sharp-eyed people recognized that the helicopter flying in the sky was a Black Hawk and immediately thought of the fact that the country had purchased 24 helicopters from the United States and hurriedly said that this was the delivery of armed helicopters. At this time, inside the base, the commander of the Air Force, who was responsible for receiving this batch of helicopters on the ground, said excitedly, "Your Highness, with the arrival of this batch of helicopters, our Xinghan's land-air coordinated operations, battlefield support, and transportation and delivery capabilities will be greatly enhanced." Looking at the excited Air Force commander, Xiao Yunhai smiled and said, "Commander Huang, this batch of weapons and equipment has arrived, and we must also speed up training to form combat effectiveness as soon as possible. In addition, the land-air coordinated operations you just mentioned are our weaknesses. In the past, the conditions were limited. Now that we have helicopters, we should still strengthen airborne operations behind enemy lines and special operations. Of course, it is also necessary to strengthen the three-dimensional operations of the army." Huang Zhenxing put away his smile when he heard this and nodded seriously. "Please rest assured, Your Highness, my Air Force will not fail its mission." At this time, more than 20 helicopters had landed in the parking area. Xiao Yunhai smiled and said, "Go, your equipment has arrived." Huang Zhenxing saluted, and then took his men to inspect and accept. At the same time, the parts were also transported to the base by truck. Although these 24 helicopters are arranged in 2 columns, it looks like a lot, but Xiao Yunhai feels that they are a bit thin. Watch the U.S. military movies. The helicopters are a large black mass. Although we often blame the Americans, we are also envious. Hope that our country can be so powerful one day. Xiao Yunhai thinks that sooner or later he will see this kind of scene in Xinhan. You know, he is a man with a golden finger. With the system, why worry about big things not being accomplished? After the United States delivered 24 Black Hawk helicopters, the Air Force immediately invested in intensive training after taking over, so as to form combat effectiveness as soon as possible. Time flies, and another half-month 423 has passed. There are not many days left before the Spring Festival and the New Year. It's time to take stock of the year again. On this day, Xiao Hongjing held a cabinet meeting. Compared with last year, the participants this year all had smiles on their faces. As the king, Xiao Hongjing was actually in a semi-retired state, handing over the power to his son, Xiao Yunhai. Xiao Yunhai made many decisions on major issues. After setting the tone, Wu Xinyuan of the National Bureau of Statistics reported the economic situation for the whole year. In 2010, the national economy showed a rapid growth trend, and it was promoted by high-quality development. It showed an unprecedented explosive trend in medical care, oil exports, agriculture, tourism, and service industries. In 2010, the national GDP reached 931.5 billion Han yuan, an increase of 483.8 billion Han yuan over the previous year. According to the annual average exchange rate, 2.6 Han yuan equals $1. The annual GDP was 358.269 billion US dollars, a year-on-year increase of 161% in US dollars, among which the pharmaceutical industry, oil, and service industries drove the economy more significantly. The pharmaceutical industry, thanks to Jimin Pharmaceutical Company, has created a new high in my country's exports in the pharmaceutical field. Various drugs are sold well around the world. Jimin Pharmaceutical alone exported drugs worth 147.4 billion Han yuan throughout the year, making a significant contribution to economic growth. Contribution. The service industry has benefited from the economic development of Labuan City and the booming tourism industry in Bangui Island, North Sea, and other regions, which has injected vitality into the economy. For Labuan City, relying on spinach and ports, it has doubled the growth of the local service industry. The GDP of Labuan City alone has reached 23.5 billion yuan. In the oil industry, with the exploitation of coastal oil fields in Jeddah Bay and Jiangdu County, our country has not only achieved independence in oil energy, but also created huge foreign revenue. According to the Royal Petroleum Company of New Han, last year's exports of crude oil reached 813 million barrels and realized foreign exchange revenue of 57.3 billion US dollars. In agriculture, thanks to the growth of fruit product prices, the development of the domestic fruit industry has been driven, and the sales channel to Longhua has been opened. It is expected that the agricultural growth trend will be good next year. Conference room. When Wu Xinyuan read out each number, everyone's face showed a happy expression. After all, the rapid economic growth of New Han is also due to their contribution. And as a New Han person, seeing the national economy take off, GDP has doubled, and I am proud of it. Xiao Yunhai was very calm. The economic boom of New Han has a direct relationship with him. After all, most of the enterprises that drive economic growth are controlled by him, or they are royal industries. Although the specific figures of the operating conditions of each company are not very clear, they are generally clear. There is no doubt that the oil and pharmaceutical industries have become the pillars of New Han's economy. It can be said that these two industries have built the engine of New Han's economic growth. The two industries add up to more than 300 billion Han yuan, close to 30% of the national GDP. From this, we can imagine the importance of the two industries. The growth of the service industry is also within his expectations. Take Labuan City as an example. The opening of the gaming industry has attracted gaming companies to invest. Several companies have invested billions of dollars in the construction of hotels. And after the construction is completed, the tourists attracted will drive the local food, drink, entertainment, accommodation, and transportation. After the whole process, everyone will spend at least a few $1,000s. This is still a microcosm. Moreover, Labuan's economic growth has not yet reached the point of takeoff. Next year, all hotels will be completed and put into use. The gambling companies spent so much money on investment and construction, and they will definitely try every possible way to attract people to come and play. So the economy of Labuan will enter a high-speed development in the next 2 years. Similarly, with the development of Bangui Island, multiple theme parks will be put into use next year, further driving the development of the regional economy and tourism service industry. And as the income of the local people increases, demand-based consumption will gradually increase. In the conference room, When Wu Sunyuan finished speaking, the venue rang with dense applause. I thought the economy would explode this year, but I didn't expect it to grow so much, doubled. My God, looking at the world, we are probably the only one in the world to grow like this. The pharmaceutical industry is too fierce, and His Royal Highness the Crown Prince is too powerful. He has single-handedly built an economic pillar, and the profits of the pharmaceutical industry are huge profits. In the past 2 years, the economy has developed too fast. If it were 2 years ago, I would not have dared to think about it. Yes. Otherwise, I would say that His Royal Highness the Crown Prince is an expert in economics. You see, after the Crown Prince returned to China, he has done one thing after another, first medicine, then tourism, energy, and now the military industry has also achieved remarkable results. It can be said that it has blossomed in all aspects. Having such a Crown Prince is a blessing for my Xinhan. If this situation continues, I think our economic level will reach the level of developed countries next year. That's for sure. According to this year's GDP, our current per capita GDP should have reached $19,900, which is only one step away from the per capita GDP standard of developed countries. At this moment, the words, "the future is promising," echoed in everyone's mind in the conference room. Xiao Hongjing, who was sitting in the main seat, was also full of joy at this moment. He didn't expect the economic growth rate to be so high in 2010, although he knew that the oil income industry would definitely drive the rapid growth of the national economy. But the scale of the pharmaceutical industry engaged in by his son is actually on par with oil. Thinking of his previous visit to the Military Research Institute, Xiao Hongjing's heart was surging at the moment. How could he not be excited that Xinhan would become a developed country in the world in his hands? Then, Xiao Hongjing and Xiao Yunhai summarized and affirmed the achievements made last year, and hoped that all departments would continue to work hard. Emphasized that the development of the economy was the core, the enhancement of people's welfare was the primary priority, and the comprehensive promotion of Xinhan towards high-quality development. After drawing a perfect end to last year, it was the turn of the Ministry of Finance to announce the government's revenue and expenditure, as well as the New Year's budget. Everyone in the cabinet was in high spirits, and everyone hoped that their department could get more budget. CI, Minister Li, tell me about the government's financial situation. Li Tianlin, who was called by name, nodded, turned over the documents in front of him, reached out and put the microphone in front of him a little deeper, and then spoke with full energy and a calm tone. In 2010, the national fiscal revenue was 195.3 billion Han yuan, of which oil profit received 33 billion. Among them, corporate tax increased significantly, reaching 47.2 billion Han yuan. Personal income tax is 29.62 billion Han yuan. Consumption tax is 23.27 billion Han yuan. Other taxes are 5.93 billion Han yuan. The annual fiscal expenditure is about 102.6 billion Han yuan, and the debt to be repaid is 30.5 billion US dollars. The current annual fiscal surplus is 92.7 billion Han yuan, the so-called 30.5 billion US dollar debt. It is mainly to borrow 20 billion US dollars of foreign debt from Longhua and to purchase 10.5 billion US dollars of naval vessels from Longhua. The latter 10.5 billion US dollars will be paid in 3 installments. The first 4 billion US dollars of debt was advanced by the royal family, and the subsequent 6.5 billion US dollars was also the same. But this money is not a donation. Instead, the royal family provided an interest-free loan to the government. In simple terms, the royal family lent money to the government, not a gift, so it is said to be a debt. Although the Xiao family is the new Han royal family, it cannot keep transfusing blood. If it keeps transfusing blood, even the richest royal family will be drained. In Xiao Yunhai's mind, his positioning of the royal family is to provide a bottom line. Guarantee the government. Ensure that the country will not go bankrupt. $30.5 billion in debt, $20 billion of which is foreign debt. In some countries, such as Bangladesh and Sri Lanka in South Asia, they would probably declare bankruptcy. But for the rapidly developing New Korea, this amount of money is not enough to bankrupt the country. As long as there is oil as a guarantee, it is difficult to go bankrupt unless it owes hundreds of billions of dollars. Due to the economic boom in oil and medical care this year, the growth rate may decline next year. In addition, based on the growth of agriculture and service industries, our department, after comprehensive consideration of various aspects, predicts that the fiscal revenue in 2011 will be 230 billion yuan, mainly composed of petrochemicals, pharmaceuticals, agriculture, tourism services, culture, and entertainment. Among them, the revenue of the petrochemical industry is expected to be 35 billion yuan and medical, pharmaceuticals, corporate tax increased to 51 billion yuan, and personal income tax increased to 320 billion yuan. This year, we must not increase the estimated fiscal revenue as high as last year. After all, the possibility of rapid growth in the oil and medical industries is very low. It is estimated that it is good to be able to stabilize this income for a period of time. Of course, industries such as petrochemicals, agriculture, tourism, and cultural entertainment are future growth points. This is what many people think. In Xiao Yunhai's mind, there are two more. Drones, mobile phone smart industries, automobile industries, and game industries will be one of the important growth outbreak points next year. Of course, the plastic surgery industry and agriculture will be further strengthened. The plastic surgery industry has great potential. Just for the current opening of a plastic surgery hospital, Xiao Yunhai looked at the income report and found that the revenue in a few months reached more than 700 million yuan. This is still at present. In the next few years, the market size of the plastic surgery industry will become larger and larger. He does not have high requirements. In this subsegment, Xinhan can occupy 1/10 of the scale, that is, 500 million or 600 million US dollars. But the smartphone industry, this market size is very large. Must get a share. He personally predicts that GDP should be able to reach 1.3 trillion yuan next year. Whether it can be achieved depends mainly on smartphones, drones, simultaneous interpretation, and other products in the automotive industry. Ding! Congratulations to the host for completing the novice task and doubling the per capita GDP task. Ding! Congratulations to the host for winning 2 billion points. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining hundreds of tumor formulas and pharmaceutical processes for treating solid tumors, blood tumors, etc. Xiao Yunhai. Good guy. He was still thinking that after the meeting, he would ask the system why there was no prompt to complete the novice task. Now it is prompted. TSK. Cancer formula. This is taking off. Xiao Yunhai felt that he had predicted a GDP of 1.3 trillion Han yuan before. It can be increased appropriately. Yeah, not much increase. Increase by 200 billion. Increase to 1.5 trillion Han yuan. Xiao Yunhai thinks it is not a problem. Cancer, or solid tumors and blood tumors. Basically, all types of cancer are covered. The number of people who get cancer every year in the world is as high as tens of millions. Millions of people die. How big this market is, you can't imagine. And cancer is different from other diseases. This thing will kill people. And all beings are equal. Whether you are a rich man or a commoner, you may get it. And cancer is a world problem, and no one has conquered it until now. Before he was reborn, that is, more than 10 years later, cancer was still a difficult disease that troubled the world. For this disease, as long as it can be cured, many people are willing to go bankrupt. The premise is that it can be cured. So there are people who are willing to spend the most money. Ding! Start the main task of strengthening the country. Please complete the national GDP in the top 10 in the world within 10 years. The system will issue rewards based on the host's completion degree. Do you want to receive it? Listen to the prompt in your mind. Interesting. Rewards based on completion? Enter the top 10 in the world in 10 years? Xiao Yunhai felt that it was not difficult. The drug for treating tumors that was just rewarded is enough to take off. Without any hesitation, Xiao Yunhai chose to take the task. If he still can't enter the top 10 in 10 years, Xiao Yunhai thinks he will just find a wall and die directly. Xiao Yunhai suppressed his excitement and joy as the Ministry of Finance announced the fiscal budget for next year. However, his mind kept echoing how to maximize profits by treating tumors. Moreover, how to reduce the covetousness of the outside world. It is said that a man is guilty of possessing a treasure even if he is innocent. Possessing cancer treatment drugs is more attractive than oil. Without sufficient strength, it is difficult to protect it. Therefore, it is best to find some simpler and less fatal cancers to make money in the early stage. P.S. Please customize.
End.
Chapter 77. After multiple communications and audits, the fiscal budget after the new year is announced as follows. The Ministry of Health's expenditure budget is 19.1 billion yuan, which will be used to further improve the medical and health system, ensure the improvement of medical hardware facilities in townships, and ensure that every citizen can enjoy national medical care. The Ministry of Education's expenditure budget is 14.7 billion yuan, an increase of 2.5 billion yuan over last year. The additional part is mainly used for rural areas, education subsidies, and the construction of 2 new universities to accelerate the high-quality development of education and cultivate outstanding talents and social technical talents. The Ministry of National Defense's expenditure budget is 19.5 billion yuan, a slight decrease from last year. The Ministry of Transportation's expenditure budget is 11.2 billion yuan. The special transfer expenditure budget is 2.9 billion yuan. Loan repayment expenditure is 7.2 billion yuan. Annual budget the expenditure is 139.7 billion Han yuan, and the estimated fiscal surplus is 9 billion yuan. This budget expenditure is very low. It can also be said that the Ministry of Finance tends to be conservative when formulating the budget. Of course, they are not like Xiao Yunhai, who is a reborn person and does not have a golden finger. Under the current situation, it is not a mistake to formulate a conservative budget expenditure. And there is also a foreign debt of 30.5 billion US dollars. Take this budget, there is a loan repayment item in it, which is used to repay the debt. Although they are all interest-free loans, the principal must be repaid after all. Saving fiscal expenditure is also to pay off the debt as soon as possible so that you can move forward lightly. The specific expenditures are as follows. Among them, the transfer expenditure budget will return the personal income tax paid by low-income people, that is, adults with an annual income of less than 20,000 Han yuan. In addition, in order to encourage outstanding entrepreneurial enterprises and reduce the burden of business operations, enterprises that pay and declare on time will be given a corporate tax refund of no more than 1 million Han yuan for each enterprise to support enterprise development. The fiscal budget is very detailed, implementing changes in corporate taxes, personal tax refunds, talent selection policies, and providing assistance to families in poor areas, implementing the core of enhancing the welfare of the people. From this point, it can be seen that this is when the budget was formulated, many aspects were considered, and it also reflects from the side that the new Han government has money in its hands and pockets, so it can spend it boldly and safely. Xiao Yunhai has no opinion on this fiscal expenditure. It is not a small amount. 139.7 billion Han yuan, converted into RMB, is about 430 billion yuan. Fiscal expenditure almost catching up with Lion City. In addition, the growth of military expenditure is not obvious, only 19.5 billion Han yuan. It is a few hundred million lower than last year, but considering the current appreciation of the Han yuan exchange rate, it is actually higher than last year's fiscal expenditure. And last year, a lot of weapons had to be purchased to have such a large expenditure. This year's focus is on building airports, and there are plans to replace some weapons for the army. In a word, the military expenditure of 19.5 billion Han yuan is more than enough. Do you have any opinions on this budget expenditure? After speaking, Xiao Hongjing looked at everyone in the conference room. Seeing that everyone, including Xiao Yunhai, shook their heads and said they had no objection, Xiao Hongjing said, "Since everyone has no objection, then this budget plan will be passed and the next topic will be carried out." The meeting lasted for 2 days before it came to an end. The next day, the contents of the meeting were exposed one after another. When countless netizens saw the fiscal revenue, expenditure, and budget situation disclosed by Xinhan, everyone was shocked. F***K. This economic data, it blinded my titanium alloy eyes. The economy doubled in 1 year. My God, this is too strong. Awesome. It's hard to believe. In the past, countries with 10% growth were already very impressive, and now it has doubled too strong. When the economic and fiscal revenue of Xinhan was reported to Longhua, it caused an uproar. Is this fake? Is the economy of Xinhan so strong? Oh my God, 358.2 billion US dollars. The population is only more than 17 million. The per capita GDP is 21,000 yuan. It is 7,000 US dollars higher than our strongest city, Magic City. Too strong. I remember that 2 years ago, the per capita GDP of Xinhan was only about 5,000 US dollars. In 2 years, it has soared to 20,000? This development speed is too fast. It has entered the per capita GDP of developed countries in 2 years. I used to think that our country was growing very fast, but compared with Xinhan, I suddenly felt that there was no growth. Although it's hard to believe, it's not surprising if you think about it carefully. They have oil, which alone sells more than 50 billion US dollars a year. They also have the medical industry. Xinhan's medical industry is very strong. These two industries form the economic pillars of Xinhan. Oh, I'm so envious. They can make so much money every year by selling oil. No way. Who asked God to give them food to eat? Xinhan's economic growth is so fast. Is it easy to make money? Are there brothers working in Xinhan? Tell me if it's easy to make money. Very good. Much better than in China. Brother upstairs, what do you do in Xinhan? Work in a supermarket. Supermarket? How much a month? 2,000 Chinese yuan a month. According to the current exchange rate, it's about 7,000 yuan. Wow. Being a supermarket waiter is so high. I'm so envious. I'm a supermarket waiter. I work in a supermarket in China. I work 6 days a week, and it's 12 hours. I only make 4,500 yuan a month. This is in a second-tier city, and there are no 5 social insurances and 1 housing fund. I envy you so much, brother. It's okay. The salary of Xinhan has increased rapidly in the past 2 years. It was 1,500 yuan a month before, but there is no coupon like in China. The legal requirement here is 8 hours of working time. If it exceeds the time, overtime pay must be paid, and all enterprises, institutions, and individual business owners must pay insurance for employees as long as they employ employees. If you don't pay insurance and overtime pay, you can go to the local industrial and commercial department for help. They will punish the employer immediately. Wow, so good? I'm so envious. The industrial and commercial departments in our country are just sitting in the office, and there are also shitty trade unions that don't speak for Liren at all. I'm so envious, brother. Is there any way? I also want to work at Sun Hung Kai Properties. Yes, brother above. Is there any channel? This doesn't require a channel. Now there is no visa exemption. As long as there is a company willing to hire you during the visa exemption period, you can convert the employment contract into a work visa, and then you can stay at Sun Hung Kai Properties for 1 year. If the employer is willing to continue to employ you, you can renew the visa at that time. It's very convenient, more convenient than going to European and American countries. Brother above, thank you so much. I decided to quit my job after the new year and work at Sun Hung Kai Properties. Support +1. The domestic situation is too competitive. When people continued to expose the working conditions in Xinhan, countless Longwa workers envied them. We are all human beings. Why do you live so well? Also, isn't it said that hard work leads to wealth? Why do I get up earlier than the chickens, sleep later than the dogs, and eat worse than the pigs? Damn it, I don't care about the benefits. At this moment, many young people in Longwa are planning to go out and make a living. Anyway, they are living such a miserable life. Even if they fail, it won't be worse than this. Not only are people in Longwa shocked by Xinhan's economy, but the whole world is surprised. Some media even commented that Xinhan is the country with the fastest economic growth rate at present. It is very likely to become the second developed country in Southeast Asia. The first is naturally Singapore. As for Brunei, although the per capita GDP is high, it is only rich countries. Because of the single economic structure, the economy is highly dependent on oil and natural gas and cannot constitute a developed country. But Xinhan is different. Xinhan has the world's top medical care. Agriculture and tourism services are also growing rapidly. Moreover, the service industry, that is, the tertiary industry, accounts for 45% of the economy. It is also vigorously promoting the development of the cultural tourism industry. Given time, it may not be impossible to enter the ranks of developed countries. Xinhan's dazzling economic achievements have also made many companies begin to understand Xinhan, a small Southeast Asian country. Knowing this effect, the population is more than 17 million, and the tax paid by the company is only 20%. Such a low tax rate has made many companies interested in doing business in Southeast Asia plan to set up their companies in Xinhan. Compared with other Southeast Asian countries, Xinhan has several advantages. The political situation is stable. The state intervenes less in the economy and the marketization is high. Except for a few industries that are monopolized, the rest can be involved, and foreign-funded enterprises can also be wholly owned. A good business environment and a sound rule of law society. The corporate tax rate is low. Although it is a little higher than that of Singapore, Xinhan has a larger population, more than 3 times more. Moreover, Xinhan has signed an economic and trade cooperation agreement with Longwa. Some products exported from Xinhan to Longwa are tax-free, which is not available in Singapore. These points alone are enough to attract many companies to invest in Xinhan. For example, Intel, SK Semiconductor, Samsung, and other companies have considered setting up factories in Xinhan. Not to mention Taiwan. Since the 1960s, Taiwan and Xinhan have carried out in-depth cooperation at the economic level. A large number of Taiwanese companies have invested in Xinhan. It can be expected that Xinhan's economy will usher in an explosion in the future. January 10, 2011. Apple's acting CEO Cook visited Xinhan at the invitation of Xiao Yunhai. On the same day, Xiao Yunhai met Cook in the palace and emphasized that he hoped Apple could reach a closer cooperation with Xinhan. He hoped that Apple would increase its investment in Xinhan. For example, setting up the Apple Southeast Asia Service Center in Xinhan and promoting the establishment of Apple's industrial chain in Xinhan. In addition, Xiao Yunhai also took Cook to visit Shanghai Battery Company, Limited. He went directly into the product department. He asked someone to bring a small piece of graphene black gold battery specially produced for mobile phones. Graphene battery? When Cook heard that the material was graphene, he was shocked. You know, graphene is a thing with complex technology and extremely high production difficulty, which makes it very expensive. Mr. Su, please introduce the advantages of your battery to Mr. Cook. Xiao Yunhai smiled and gestured to let Su Rui, CEO of Xinghai Battery and Xinghai Technology, introduce the products. This visit to Xinghai Battery Company was largely to hope that Xinghai Battery would enter Apple's supply chain. In this way, relying on Apple's supply chain, it is still no problem to sell a battery business of several hundred million hanyuan a year. Please give me flowers. Okay, Your Highness. Su Rui nodded, took 2 steps forward, walked to the front of the product, and smiled at Cook. Mr. Cook, this is a new material battery developed by our company, which uses some graphene materials. Its energy density far exceeds that of lithium batteries. The battery in front of you is our black gold Ruelong battery, with an energy density of 800 Wh and a cycle number of 3,000 times. Its price is only 2/3 more expensive than the lithium battery on the market. If your company can use our battery, I believe the user experience will be better. The so-called black gold Ruelong battery is actually a weakened version. According to different material ratios, the number of cycles and graphene materials are reduced. The purpose of this is to reduce the cost price. If the cost is too high, people can't afford it. And for consumer electronics, especially the mobile phone industry, Guangshang actually doesn't want users to use a mobile phone for 5 or 6 years. They hope that users will replace their phones frequently so that they can make more money. Just like a light bulb, manufacturers hope that a light bulb can be lit for 1,000 hours. As a result, you made a light bulb that can be lit for 10,000 hours, which greatly reduced the frequency of user replacement. Without demand, the market is saturated and the company has no income. In the end, won't the company go bankrupt? If a company wants to sell its products well and make a lot of money, the product must be flawed or not so perfect. It is precisely because of this problem that Xiao Yunhai hopes to develop a low-configuration battery for the current market after communicating with Su Rui. As for high-performance batteries, they are used in special fields, such as new energy vehicles. Zero Nanku was very interested when he heard that the price was only 2/3 higher than that of lithium batteries, but the performance was several times better than that of lithium batteries. He told Apple about the battery specifications currently used. Su Rui quickly calculated in his mind and then quoted, "If we use our company's batteries according to Mr. Cook's specifications, the price of each battery will be about $36. Hearing this, Cook showed a satisfied look. The current purchase price of Apple's mobile phone lithium battery is $24. If it is $12 more, the battery performance can be improved by 1 level, and the battery capacity can be increased to 2,000 mAh. The number of battery cycles will increase. As for the increased cost, customers can share it. Anyway, the increased cost is not too high." Good. Your Highness, this company's battery technology is very good. If the price can be lower, we, Apple, will be happy to cooperate with this company in your country. Cook said with a smile. Hearing this, Xiao Yunhai also smiled and said, "Mr. Cook is right. This company is indeed excellent in the field of batteries, just like your company's mobile phones, which can make people amazed. Because of this, it is normal that the price is a little higher. As I said before, a good mobile phone should be equipped with a good battery. I believe that your company's products, combined with Xinghai Battery Company's products, will definitely be loved by more customers. Want to lower the purchase price? No way. This is already cheap. Selling for $36, the production cost reaches $17, which is not much profit. In addition, workers' wages will rise in the future, and after joining the Apple supply chain, it is estimated that it will be difficult to increase the purchase price of batteries. Apple may have very strict control over the purchase price of the supply chain. So, it is better to raise the price first." Perhaps because he really likes the Xinghai battery, Cook finally did not talk about the price reduction issue, but only said that he would report to the CEO, Jobs, and try his best to promote Apple to purchase the battery of Xinghai Battery Company. Even if you don't look at the battery, you have to look at the face of the major shareholder. You must know that the entire Xinhan royal family, including his Oasis Capital, holds 21.8% of Apple's shares, which is a major shareholder, and even the largest shareholder on the surface. Xiao Yunhai is very satisfied with Cook's attitude. Asked Jobs. With the attitude of pursuing the ultimate product, after knowing that there is a better battery, who will definitely agree to purchase the battery of Xinghai Company. But Cook is different. Cook is more concerned about the interests of the company, rather than from the perspective of the product. There are still differences between the two generations of CEO. As expected, on the 7th day after visiting Shanghai Battery Company, Cook received good news. Apple decided to use Shanghai's batteries for the new products to be released this year, and plans to invest in Xinhan and let component suppliers invest and set up factories in Xinhan.
Yes.
Xiao Yunhai was very happy. Don't underestimate the impact of a company on the economy. With Apple's call, many suppliers, such as Foxconn, will increase their investment in Xinhan. There are also companies in the relevant industrial chain, which have also rushed to Xinhan to set up factories. There is no way. This is the influence of Party A. As long as the brand influence is formed, there is no need to worry about the lack of suppliers. Suppliers are different. Once they lose Apple, their profits will immediately decline. Otherwise, when Apple wants to transfer its production capacity to Baixiang country, its companies in Apple's supply chain will invest in Baixiang.
And
Chapter 78. On January 23rd, Xiao Yunhai held a corporate meeting in the palace. All his companies were gathered together, so that he could understand the development of his companies. The participants included Shanghai and other companies, including Jimin Pharmaceutical, Qilin Company, Bangji Island Development Company, Dream Chaser Film and Television, Chayin Yusei Beverage Company, and Oasis Investment. Looking at the people in the conference room, Xiao Yunhai smiled and said, "Everyone has worked hard in the past year. You have made great contributions to the current situation of Xinhan. Here, I would like to thank you." After speaking, Xiao Yunhai stood up, bowed, and saluted to everyone. Although many of them are dead men are also people and have feelings. At least respect should be given to them, which is also convenient for them to work hard. Hearing this, everyone hurriedly stood up. "Your Highness is too polite. We don't need Your Highness to do this for our classification." Xiao Yunhai smiled and said, "You are polite. You are all pillars of my Xinhan. Please take a seat quickly." He raised his hand to signal everyone to take a seat. After sitting down, he said, "Today, I gathered everyone to understand the development of each company and discuss future development. Well, let's start with Jimin Pharmaceutical Company." Xiao Yunhai looked at Lu Lin and said. The latter stood up quickly after hearing this. "Xiao, 787, Yunhai said, sit down and talk. Everyone should relax today. There is no need to say polite words. Just treat it as communication."
yes.
Everyone responded in unison. Lu Lin also sat back in his seat. Jimin Pharmaceutical currently has 5 products on the market, including Kingyi Yingden weight loss pills, Fengzi breast enhancement pills, whitening liquid, and acne and freckle removal products. The annual sales of medicines are 147.4 billion yuan, which has doubled several times year on year. It is expected that the market will expand further after the new year. In addition to these drugs that enhance male length and long-lasting drugs similar to Viagra are currently under development. In addition, the eyeglass vision repair medicine, such as the liquid used for myopia in young people and presbyopia in the elderly, has also entered clinical trials and is expected to be officially launched in the second quarter. As for funds, the cash flow on the account has reached 132 billion yuan, and the cash flow is very abundant. Hiss. Everyone took a breath. They were all shocked by the terrifying ability of Jimin Pharmaceutical Company to make money. Sure enough, the pharmaceutical industry is a huge profit, especially pharmaceutical companies with exclusive products. It's a steal. Xiao Yunhai was quite calm. The pharmaceutical industry is like this. High investment in research and development in the early stage. As long as the research and development is successful, the follow-up is like stealing money. After all, the cost of pharmaceutical production is very few. The difficulty of a drug lies in the investment in the research and development stage. Like Johnson & Johnson, Pfizer, and other pharmaceutical giants, which one does not spend tens of billions of dollars on research and development every year. Jimin did not spend too much money because they had Xiao Yunhai, a hanging guy, to endorse them, so they could make rapid progress. Jimin has done a good job here, and you can keep up the good work. In addition, with so much money lying in the company's account, have you ever thought about using it, such as acquiring companies in the pharmaceutical industry, especially medical companies, such as Siemens Medical, Medtronic, and other types of companies? Xiao Yunhai felt that it was useless to let the money lie in the bank account and earn interest, so it would be better to acquire a medical device company to complement Jimin. Hearing what Xiao Yunhai said, Lu Lin nodded. The company has the idea of acquiring a medical device company, but the desire for acquisition is not only because of money, but also involves political factors. Xiao Yunhai certainly knows this. It's not that easy to acquire other people's profitable companies. However, he now has a solution. Having mastered the technology of treating cancer, he can use it as a threat. If someone refuses to agree to the merger, then well, cancer drugs will not be sold in that country. Once this happens, the country's cancer patients and their families can kill the president, prime minister, or the like of that country. Business competition is like this, at all costs, to achieve the goal, even if it is a malicious merger. You don't have to worry too much about the political factors you are worried about. The country will help you solve this problem. You just need to consider which medical company to acquire with the best cost-effectiveness. Looking at Lu Lin, Xiao Yunhai said. Lu Lin nodded, indicating that he understood. Mr. Han, tell me about your dream chaser. After talking about Jimin Pharmaceutical Company, Xiao Yunhai turned his attention to Dream Chaser CEO Han Peng. Han Peng heard this, sat up straight, and said with a serious face, "The current situation of Dream Chaser is good. Last year, a movie called Juxian 1 was released, and The Ghost Blows Out the Light in the Clouds of Worms Valley is currently being released. Both movies have good reputations. The total box office is expected to reach $1.5 billion, and the distribution is about more than $400 million. In addition, there is currently a collaboration with Universal on Jurassic World 1, which is still working on special effects and is expected to be released this summer. The second part of the White Snake animation universe, Green Snake Origin, will also be released in early May. The second part of the live-action movie Juxian will also be released in August or September. Based on the online novel Dolua Continent, we plan to adapt it into an animated TV series, which is currently being planned." When Xiao Yunhai heard Han Peng say that he was going to adapt Dolua, the corner of his mouth twitched. The classic stock suddenly came to his mind. Resurrection, my love. Although I think this novel is a bit. However, if it is adapted into an animated TV series for teenagers, it would be good. Of course, animation is often not profitable by broadcasting rights, but more by hyping IP. Just like the animation of the island country, what about Dragon Ball, Doraemon, One Piece and other animations? The essence is to let more people know through the way of dissemination and then sell IP peripheral products. Don't underestimate the influence of the peripherals. Take the island country's Pokemon. Nintendo relies on this IP to make more than $16 billion a year. How many companies can compare? And this industry is highly profitable. In addition, the animation industry contributes 16% to the island country's economy. You know, the island country's economy has always ranked among the top 3 in the world. This 16% is hundreds of billions of dollars. 014309128 Feilu 151353451. So the animation industry has great potential. Even if Dolua is indeed a bit too, it is popular among teenagers. The animation industry can be further strengthened, and we can rely more on the entertainment companies we acquired in Longhua to speed up the IP incubation of some excellent and well-known novels. Xiao Yunhai said. Han Peng, okay, Your Highness. We have set up a special IP incubation operation department to fully promote the IP incubation of novels such as White Snake, Ghost Blowing Light, and Grave Robbers Chronicles. How to do it? You can figure it out by yourself. You can refer to the island animation companies and companies such as Disney that have relatively successful IP operations. Xiao Yunhai said.
Yes.
Han Peng nodded in response. After talking about Dream Chaser Film and Television, Xiao Yunhai turned his attention to the CEO of Kirin Company and said with a smile, Mr. Wei, how is the progress of the smartphone project? To reply to Your Highness, it is currently progressing smoothly. The operating system has been iteratively developed for several versions. In terms of hardware, the self-developed CPU has completed the preliminary design and is looking for a foundry for production. In terms of screens, we are seeking to purchase production lines, and other components are also in the selection stage. How long will it take to see the sample? Xiao Yunhai asked directly. As for the sample, it will be available in March or April. Okay, the smartphone project needs to be accelerated. Xiao Yunhai reminded, and then asked about streaming media. I learned that the website development has entered the final debugging stage and can be launched at any time. As for big data, Xiao Yunhai did not ask. This project requires the upgrade of Xinhan's internet infrastructure in advance, such as international network bandwidth. Regarding this, the communications company under the Royal Investment Bureau plans to spend 3.5 billion Han yuan to upgrade the national network and increase the network speed to 200 megabits to meet the growing domestic internet service and user needs. Before this, Xinhan's network speed was 20 megabits. It has increased by 10 times. It also enables Qilin to set up cloud computing business. In general, he said that he attached more importance to the smartphone project. This thing can not only bring huge employment rate, but also has a large enough market to make a lot of money. By the way, it can also improve the Xinhan industrial chain. In the previous life, Longwa became a strong country in the electronic product manufacturing industry. Didn't it rely on some well-known electronic manufacturers to drive the relevant industrial chain? Later, Baixiang also wanted to copy this path. Through administrative means, Longwa and European and American mobile phone companies were forced to sell their assets or shares in Baixiang. It's a pity that the eating is too ugly. So some people backed out. After talking about Qilin Company, Xiao Yunhai set his sights on Yang, the CEO of Xinghai Automobile Company, which is responsible for the production and manufacturing of automobiles. Zheng. Seeing this, the latter took the initiative to talk about the current situation of the automobile company. The factory has been completed, and the manufacturing equipment has also arrived. The prototype car is expected to be able to produce 4.5 in April. In addition, as for workers, we are currently recruiting 20 workers for intensive training. Hearing that the prototype car can be built in April, Xiao Yunhai showed satisfaction on his face. As long as the prototype car can be built, it means that it is not far from mass production. In addition, it can also show that Xinghai Automobile Manufacturing Company can produce itself in the automobile industry chain, such as engines and chassis. As for the gearbox, it is not difficult to manufacture it. The difficulty is that it cannot be brought to the market. The gearbox is if you use ZF and other companies, the original car is like this, and the system rewards ZF's gearbox, but they have already registered patents, so it is difficult to bypass the patents. Otherwise, those car companies in Longwa still need to buy. The entire automotive industry chain involves too much, and it is not necessary to research and produce everything by yourself. If you don't import their products, you always have a trade surplus, and they always have a trade deficit. Do you really think they are fools? Just add tariffs to you. Or just ban imports, don't play with you, and see how you sell. So, this is the so-called globalization. Everyone can get a piece of the pie. Those who eat alone will have a bad end.
End.
Chapter 79. That's right. Xiao Yunhai suddenly thought that he could combine the existing advantages to create electric supercars and electric buses. The former is positioned as a high-end performance supercar, which is specially sold to the rich second generation, and the latter is positioned as a public bus. In the cities of Longwa, there is a huge demand for buses, and electric buses are also the future development trend. After all, from the perspective of saving, if you burn oil, you will spend a lot of oil in a day, and you won't save much money. If you use electric buses, the charging cost is much lower than the fuel cost. In his previous life, he remembered that many city buses were replaced with electric ones. If this market can be taken, it can not only increase battery sales, but also drive the development of automobile companies. And not only these cities in Longwa, but also Xinhan needs it. Some places where fuel transportation is inconvenient, such as Bangji Island, are more suitable for electric vehicles. After all, there are wind power and solar power generation. From a long-term perspective, it is necessary to develop nuclear energy to meet the power supply. Mr. Su, your Xinghai Battery and Mr. Yang's Xinghai Automobile Manufacturing Company can cooperate to develop electric supercars and electric buses. At present, the world advocates energy conservation and emission reduction policies, and clean energy is the mainstream of future development. Therefore, the new energy era will definitely bring. At present, the Xinghai Battery Company managed by Mr. Su has mastered the world's most core commercial battery technology. When applied to electric buses and electric supercars, it is not only much safer than the existing lithium batteries and phosphoric acid batteries, but also has several times higher energy density. The battery life and number of cycles are also much greater than phosphoric acid and lithium batteries. It is most suitable for electric buses and electric supercars. Moreover, the competition intensity in the bus market is far less than that of small cars. I think there is a lot of room for development. Not only foreign markets need it, but the domestic market also needs clean electric vehicles. In this way, I will communicate with the Ministry of Transportation and the Royal Investment Bureau to let their city bus transportation companies order 1,000 city buses to Xinghai Automobile Company to support Xinghai Automobile in developing electric buses. The loss is not big. On the contrary, it can support the development of Xinghai electric vehicles and Xinghai Battery Company. Moreover, this kind of support is beneficial, not for corruption or something like that. Xiao Yunhai also looked down on that little money. To be honest, if he really wanted to make money, in addition to what the golden finger brought, with his status as the crown prince, he could become a 100 billionaire from scratch in a few years, and 28 is still US dollars like those oil tycoons in the Middle East, relying on privileges. All kinds of businesses are mixed. But Xiao Yunhai felt that there was no need to do so, and the king should not compete with the people for profit. Except for special industries such as urban transportation, communication networks, energy, electricity, and other industries that ensure people's livelihood, Xiao Yunhai is open to other industries. As long as private enterprises operate legally, local governments must not interfere. Without interference, fair market competition, private enterprises can also do it. Your Highness is right. Yang Zheng smiled at Su Rue. Mr. Su, please contact us more in the future. Su Rue also smiled and said, of course. The two companies will cooperate strongly and make progress together. The two stopped talking and did not communicate too much. After all, this is not the place for them to talk at length. However, the two also felt that Xiao Yunhai's proposal was good. Making electric buses is indeed a direction to open up the market. And electric buses are often purchased by the government, and the market competition is relatively much smaller. After talking about this matter, Xiao Yunhai then listened to the Yunhai beverage company. For this company, Xiao Yunhai never thought about making money from the beginning. The original purpose was to hope that ordinary people could have an extra job, and at the same time, they could start a small business and make more money. What made him happy was that Yunhai beverage company developed very rapidly, and the low-threshold franchise method of less than 30,000 Han Yuan was very successful in Xinhan. There are already hundreds of them now. Unlike other franchise stores, Yunhai franchise stores have a 55-50 split in store equity. This kind of deep binding of franchise stores and enterprises can also avoid food quality problems. The dozen or so beverages currently launched are selling very well in Xinhan. It is expected to expand to 300 stores this year. Xiao Yunhai gave a high evaluation of this. Take 300 stores as an example. At least 2,000 people have been employed. In addition to recruiting workers for milk tea shops, Yunhai, as a supply chain company, will certainly increase employees as the scale of milk tea shops expands. So, although the money earned by this company is insignificant compared to other companies, it can drive many people to employment with low investment. As the saying goes, talents are not worried if they have jobs. At present, the employment rate of Xinhan is unprecedentedly good. And this trend, with the development of Apple's supply chain, as well as companies such as Qilin and Xinghai, the unemployment rate in the future, Xinhan's unemployment rate will no longer exist. Because Xinhan is not an immigration country. If you want to join Xinhan, the conditions are very harsh. And it is clearly stipulated that black people are not accepted. The difficulty of naturalization is no less than that of longwa. Either you are a rich man who spends money to become a citizen, or you are an outstanding young talent, and if you are not good enough, you rely on investment. In short, it is difficult to become a citizen. It was not like this in the early years. As early as the 1960s and 1970s, when the population was only 3 or 4 million, in order to quickly increase the population to deal with the threat of Java, as long as you were Chinese, you could become a citizen without any threshold. However, in the 1990s, it began to narrow, and the difficulty of naturalization gradually increased. This is also the reason why the population growth rate of Xinhan is not as good as that of the Philippines, Java, and Annan. Then came Xinghai Airlines and Xinghai Plastic Surgery Hospital. When talking about Xinghai Plastic Surgery Hospital, Xiao Yunhai said to Sun Liandong, the person in charge of the plastic surgery hospital company, Mr. Sun, the medical beauty market is huge. In addition to expanding the reputation, we must also take the initiative. There are many people doing medical beauty in the world now. The scale of this market will be as high as $100 billion in the future. We have the most professional and top doctors, and we also have the most advanced instruments and equipment in the world. I hope that Xinghai can get the largest share of the big cake of medical beauty. For the Xingmei industry, Xiao Yunhai really has high hopes. Sun Liandong nodded and said, thank you for your high hopes for our company. There are indeed promotion problems at present. We have decided to increase investment in online advertising. In addition, the second hospital will be completed and put into use soon. We plan to build 3 more plastic surgery hospitals to meet future needs. Building a hospital is not a big deal for the wealthy Xinghai Plastic Surgery Hospital. Moreover, not every hospital is built according to the scale of a Class 3A hospital. It's just a plastic surgery hospital. There are not so many departments. 2 small buildings are enough. 5 professional medical beauty plastic surgery hospitals, Xiao Yunhai thinks this scale is enough. These 5 hospitals can accept at least tens of thousands of customers who want to become beautiful in a month. Even if only 400,000 customers are received in a year, based on the average cost of 30,000 Han Yuan per customer, the scale is 12 billion Han Yuan, which is not small. Moreover, these 400,000 people come to Xinhan for medical beauty, eating, drinking, defecating, and urinating, which can also drive the development of tourism and service industries, which can be said to kill two birds with one stone. Follow your ideas. I just ask for one thing, to quickly promote our name and brand, so that people know that when it comes to plastic surgery, the first thing they think of is our Xinhan, not South Korea. If you can do this, your Shanghai Plastic Surgery Hospital has fulfilled my expectations of you. Sun Liandong said solemnly, "Please rest assured, Your Highness, we will do our best to achieve this goal." Xiao Yunhai nodded with satisfaction. In this regard, he still has confidence in Sun Liandong. After all, he recruited all the staff, 200 top plastic surgeons in the world. Well, if we want to expand to 5 hospitals, we have to strengthen the doctor resources. Decided to go to Shanghai Plastic Surgery Hospital for a visit later then, it was the turn of Bangui Island Development Company and Shanghai Real Estate. For these two companies, Xiao Yunhai did not have much advice, but emphasized that commercial real estate and tourism real estate business should be developed in prime locations. For example, the construction of high-end apartments is still in great demand. He learned from the Customs Department that the number of overseas tourists who came to Xinhan last year reached more than 2 million. In the next few years, as the economy of Xinhan further develops, it is estimated that more and more people will come to Xinhan to work. Even when cancer treatment drugs are available, the number of people coming to Xinhan for medical treatment or immigration will explode. The reason is very simple. Xiao Yunhai plans to include cancer in the major disease insurance of Xinhan. Pay 600 yuan per year to participate in the national medical insurance, and the reimbursement rate will increase from 60% to 70%. Participate in employee medical insurance, and the reimbursement rate will increase from 75% to 85%. In this way, the public self-paid expenses will be reduced to between 15% and 30%, and after reimbursement, basically everyone can afford it. This greatly enhances the attractiveness of Xinhan to foreigners. After all, cancer is not covered by insurance in many countries. That is, it is not included in the national medical insurance. Even after inclusion, the reimbursement rate is too low, and many medicines have to be paid for by oneself, unlike Xinhan. 70% means that all expenses are reimbursed, and there is no self-paid medicine according to this ratio. This is also why Xiao Yunhai proposed to further tighten the immigration policy at the cabinet meeting this year. Of course, if you are a billionaire with hundreds of millions of dollars, you can directly donate $10 million to the government, and you can directly become a citizen, provided that you are not black. For black people, even if you donate $100 million, it will be useless. Black people are not welcome in Xinhan. The meeting ended in the afternoon. The next day, Xiao Yunhai went directly to the 5th floor of Xinhan Chang'an Center, Biomedical Research Institute. The drug treatment formula for treating blood-type tumors such as leukemia, malignant lymphoma, and multiple myeloma was handed over to Xiao Yunhai. At the same time, in order to enhance the drug research and development capabilities of the institute, Xiao Yunhai spent another 5 million points to purchase 50 top medical experts from the system. Together with the original 15 medical experts, a top medical research and development team of 65 people was formed. In order to ensure the safety of this group of people and avoid being harassed by the outside world, Xiao Yunhai also asked Shanghai Real Estate Company to build a closed research center in a mountainous area 2 kilometers near the Military Research Institute. Before this, the Royal Guards were responsible for the security of Xinhan Chang'an Center. To put it bluntly, they were worried that commercial companies would steal data. In early February, 2 days before the Spring Festival, Xiao Yunhai spent another 30 million points from the system and recruited 600 veteran reconnaissance soldiers with agile skills and reconnaissance capabilities from the system. He set up an intelligence organization, referred to as the National Secret Investigation Bureau, whose main task is domestic counter-espionage. It has the power of direct arrest. Local police unconditionally cooperate. He is in charge of it personally. Before this, Xinhan also had 2 major intelligence agencies. One is the 3-Service Intelligence Bureau under the General Staff of the Army. It is mainly responsible for collecting overseas military intelligence. The second is the Ministry of National Security, which is independent of any department and managed by the king himself. Its main responsibilities include collecting foreign intelligence, counter-espionage, counter-terrorism, and political security. The total number of people reached more than 20,000. This time he planned to reform the Ministry of National Security. The Ministry of National Security was abolished and the National Secret Investigation Bureau and the National Foreign Intelligence Bureau were established. The main responsibilities of the former are responsible for domestic business, namely counter-espionage and counter-terrorism tasks, and maintaining national security. The National Intelligence Bureau was changed to External Affairs, responsible for collecting foreign intelligence and providing rescue services for foreign intelligence personnel. After Xiao Yunhai communicated his ideas and original intentions with his father Xiao Hongjing, Xiao Hongjing agreed deeply and expressed his support for the establishment of the National Secret Investigation Bureau on the spot. After obtaining his father's permission, Xiao Yunhai carried out drastic reforms and laid off personnel in the Ministry of National Security. All internal personnel, except those in the operations department, who were responsible for counterintelligence intelligence, were laid off. There was no guarantee that these people had not been corrupted by foreign intelligence agencies. It's better not to do it. It's better to collect internal intelligence by your own people. As for the laid-off personnel, they can choose to receive compensation, or they can choose to transfer to the National Foreign Intelligence Bureau or the Ministry of Internal Affairs. And this adjustment of internal institutions was only circulated internally and not announced to the public. And Xiao Yunhai's move caused many countries to suffer heavy losses. They finally infiltrated the new Han National Security Department, but the sudden change directly laid off the personnel. 383, or they will be transferred from their posts and will never have access to core secrets again. It means that all the previous efforts have gone down the drain. In the case of being unable to distinguish who is a spy, Xiao Yunhai likes to cut the Gordian knot like this. He is not in the mood to let people waste energy on internal review. Even if the review is passed, Xiao Yunhai will not fully trust it. So it is a one-size-fits-all approach, saving time and worry, and it is a good idea. The new year is as usual. After playing with a few people for half a month, he entered the work. He is not as relaxed as Lu Tianxian and the other girls. To put it bluntly, Xiao Yunhai at this moment is more like a prime minister of a country. Although many things are handled by the heads of corresponding departments, there are still many things to manage a country, and there are many documents to approve. He also has to go out for inspection frequently. After the new year, Xiao Yunhai came to the Military Research Institute again, and he was accompanied by the Air Force commander and other senior Air Force generals. First, he took them to visit the Military Research Institute, based on the Gripen combat mechanism, White Crane fighter. I heard before that the Military Research Institute established by His Highness has developed a fighter, but I didn't expect it to be true. Huang Zhenxing looked at the fighter in front of him with excitement. The Air Force generals behind him were all excited, looking at the White Crane fighter, as if they were looking at a beautiful woman, looking at a charming treasure. Xiao Yunhai has come many times, but he is not so excited. He smiled and said, "Commander Huang, let your people fly up and see if it meets the needs of your Air Force." This time he came mainly to open the eyes of the Air Force guys, and secondly, to confirm the Air Force's purchase of the White Crane fighter. Hearing this, Huang Zhen immediately said that he would fly it himself. "You fly it yourself?" Xiao Yunhai frowned and said, "Commander Huang, why don't you let the young people do it?" "Commander, let me do it. I'm young. I'll fly it." "I'll do it. I'm younger." Looking at a group of Air Force generals in their 40s, arguing over who will test fly, Huang Zhenxing's face darkened, and he said angrily, "What are you arguing about? I have the highest rank, and I have the final say." Several Air Force generals were unwilling to admit defeat, but they did not argue much. After scolding a group of subordinates, Huang Zhenxing looked at Xiao Yunhai with a flattering face. "Your Highness, I can do it. I have taken the empty golden helmet before." "Okay. Then you should be careful." Xiao Yunhai saw that he insisted on doing so, and he did not say anything more. After getting Xiao Yunhai's permission, Huang Zhenxing was very happy. Under the envious eyes of a group of Air Force subordinates, he put on his flight suit, put on his helmet, and boarded the fighter plane that had been prepared long ago. A moment later, a hot flame sprayed out from the tail of the fighter plane, and the fighter plane took off quickly and turned to the sky. A few minutes later, seeing Huang Zhenxing driving a fighter plane and practicing actions in the air, several Air Force generals below started to discuss. "Commander Huang is worthy of the golden helmet, and his skills are still sharp."
And
Chapter 80. Commander Huang is worthy of the golden helmet, and his skills are still sharp. From the flying posture of the fighter, the performance of this fighter seems to be better than the Gripen fighter we have in service. Hiss, good movements and smoothness. It's incredible that such a fighter is actually produced by ourselves. With this fighter, who dares to challenge us in Southeast Asia in the future? Several people talked at once, and their faces were all filled with smiles. After a while, the fighter landed smoothly. Huang Zhenxing said excitedly, "It's great. I haven't felt the excitement of flying a fighter for a long time. This fighter is really good. It is much better than those fighters I drove before. In terms of maneuverability, it is not inferior to our F-16 fighter in service. Your Highness, you have helped our new Han Air Force a lot. With this fighter, my new Han Air Force can soar like an eagle from now on. No wonder Huang Jinxing is so happy. Now that Newham is able to produce fighters, and the performance is so advanced that it has reached the world's mainstream level, this means that Newham will not have to worry about political factors that may cause it to not be able to buy fighters and parts. And once it can produce fighters, it can continue to produce. As the saying goes, if you have food in your hands, you will not be in a hurry. Once Newham has the ability to produce fighters and does not rely on foreign countries, who can compare with it in Southeast Asia. You know, some countries in Southeast Asia have strong air forces and are equipped with the most advanced fighters. But these countries' fighters are bought after all. It's okay in peacetime, but once war comes, there is a high possibility that there will be a lack of parts for maintenance. Even air-to-air missiles, without replenishment, are like scrap metal. Now that Newham has successfully broken this phenomenon, do you think Huang Jinxing, the commander of the Air Force, cannot be excited and happy? Commander, tell us, how does it feel to drive? Is the pull-up smooth? And the turning angle, how is its performance compared with F-16 and our Gripen fighters? The generals of the Air Force came forward to ask. Huang Jinxing responded with a few words, and then found Xiao Yunhai. Your Highness, the performance of this fighter is very good. I wonder how many are there. If the Air Force buys it, the bare machine purchase price is about 100 million yuan per machine. Including air-to-air missiles, the average price is 1.1 billion. This is the internal selling price. This price was set after he and Xia Qiming communicated. The production cost of the bare machine is 41 million Han yuan. The cost is so low, mainly because all the parts are their own, so the price can be very low. If it is like the Nordic country, the engine, air-to-air missiles, and avionics are imported, then the cost will probably be 26 million more. Equipped with air-to-air missiles, the cost is only 65 million Han yuan, and it is not expensive to sell it to the Air Force for 110 million Han yuan. You should know that the performance of the Nordic country's Gripen fighter is not as good as the White Crane fighter. The price sold to Siam and Samba is 70 million US dollars. $1 equals 2.6 Han yuan, that is 182 million Han yuan. Selling to the Air Force for 117 million Han yuan is already a gift for the sake of his family. Xiao Yunhai can't let military researchers work for the army for free. Even those arms companies in the United States have to make money when they sell to the US military. After all, military researchers are private, not state-owned. They are created by him, so they should be charged. Huang Jinxing's eyes lit up when he heard that the purchase price of a White Crane fighter was only 117 million Han yuan, including air-to-air missiles. As the commander of the Air Force, he had led the purchase of military aircraft. He also knew the prices of mainstream fighters in the world. The purchase price of the F/A-18 Hornet is as high as 100 million US dollars, which is 260 million Han yuan when converted into Han yuan. The price of the U.S. military's F-16 fighter sold to allies is also between 60 million and 80 million US dollars, and it is even more expensive to sell to Taiwan. In short, there is absolutely no fighter that is stronger than the Gripen at the price of 117 million Han yuan. And sometimes, even if you have money, you still can't buy fighter planes. Just like Argentina, it is a powerful country in South America, and its economy is not bad, but it can't buy fighter planes. It still uses the third-generation fighter planes such as Super Attendard, which were produced decades ago. The gap is not a little bit. There is no way. Because of the Falkland Islands incident, Britain has put pressure on the world, making it so that no country in the world is willing to sell fighter jets to the Argentine Empire. Your Highness, our Air Force is willing to purchase 16. Huang Jinxing said impatiently. The Air Force did not get much of the 19.5 billion Han yuan military budget this time, at 3.2 billion Han yuan. The Navy was also sharply reduced. Last year, it spent 10 billion US dollars to buy more than 20 warships and submarines. It is impossible to buy new warships this year. The Army gained the most. This time, the military, including Xiao Yunhai, is determined to upgrade the equipment of the Army. No, let's go to 22 is the most suitable. Huang Jinxing said excitedly. Xiao Yunhai laughed and said, if you buy so many, your Air Force will not eat this year and starve? Fortunately, I don't think it's a big problem. Isn't there more than 600 million? I think it's enough if we squeeze it together. Huang Jinxing said with a grin. At this moment, in his mind, eating and training were not important. Buying planes was the most important thing. As for training, wouldn't it save hundreds of thousands of Han yuan if we train less? Xiao Yunhai didn't care. He was also joking. More than 600 million Han yuan, for an air force with less than 10,000 people, It is absolutely no problem to simply cover daily life, training, and salary. More than 600 million Han Yuan, almost 1.9 billion renminbi. Okay, then we'll do as you said and buy 22 planes. After we go back, your Air Force will write an application and hand it over to the Equipment Bureau to go through the process.
Yes.
Huang Zhenxing replied happily, and the other people also showed joy on their faces. After the test flight of the White Crane fighter, Xiao Yunhai took Huang Zhenxing to meet Xia Qiming. Xia Qiming also took this opportunity to learn more about the needs of the Air Force in detail, in order to facilitate the subsequent research and development of improved fighters. March 1st. The official website of the Military Equipment Bureau released a news that it purchased 22 White Crane fighters, related parts and flight personnel training from the Shanghai Aircraft Manufacturing Company, an enterprise established by the Military Industry Research Institute, at a total price of 2.574 billion Han Yuan. This article caused heated discussions on the Xinhan internet. So quickly purchased? Isn't this a bit too fast? Yes, it was only tested at the end of last year, and it's less than 3 months, and it's ready to be produced? Isn't this a bit too fast? You say, is the military too anxious? I wonder if you guys have nothing better to do? The military is a professional group, and the fact that they placed an order so quickly shows one thing, that is, the performance of the White Crane fighter must be better than our previous predictions, and it can meet the needs of the Air Force, which is why the Air Force can't wait to purchase it. That's right, we laymen, don't worry about it. In short, the military must have their considerations for doing this. Yes, some people are keyboard warriors, and you are the only one who understands. Doesn't the Air Force understand better than you? You can think of problems, but others can't. Support the above post +1. Some people just worry about nothing. Besides, if the government doesn't support our own military enterprises, who will buy them from abroad? The news was just a topic of conversation for many people, but it also attracted the attention of some countries who wanted to visit, but they were all rejected. For the Military Research Institute, making money is not their goal. The main goal is to complete the weapons research and development tasks assigned to them by Xiao Yunhai and realize the national defense independence of Xinhan. As for making money, it is just to improve living standards. Time passed quickly, and Xinhan's various policies were implemented in an orderly manner. New high-rise buildings can be seen everywhere. As more and more people flocked to Xinhan to work, accommodation became a big problem. Most of the houses in Xinhan are a 2- or 3-story single-family house. There are very few high-rise residential communities like Longhua. In order to alleviate this situation, the Royal Investment Bureau, after obtaining authorization, sold several plots of land to the Chang'an municipal government at a normal price. The total area of the land is 10,000 mu. The total price reached 2 billion Han Yuan. After acquiring the land, the Chang'an municipal government began to attract investment from all over the world, dividing the 10,000 mu of land into many small units, attracting real estate developers from Longhua and other domestic real estate developers to develop commercial residential communities to alleviate the housing problem. Not to mention, real estate developers such as Country Garden, Shangjiang Sun Hung Kai, Hutchison Whampoa, Hang Lung, and New World have all acquired land. By selling less than 1/10 of the land, the Chang'an municipal government earned back the 2 billion Han Yuan principal it had spent before. It seems that the royal family lost money, but in fact, the royal family donated land to the government at a low price in this way to support development and increase fiscal revenue for the government. Just like the previous Labuan Island, in the same way, some land was sold to the Labuan city government at a low price. If the royal family does not sell land, how can the government develop it? You should know that in New Han, there are 3 types of land: privately owned, government-owned, and royal-owned. Among them, the area of privately held land accounts for 38.2% of the total area, and the government-owned land accounts for less than 5% of the total area. The rest is all owned by the royal family. It can be said without hesitation that the country's land is in the hands of the royal family. There are many factors that cause this reason. In short, it is reasonable, legal, and compliant. Now, if we want to develop on a large scale, the royal family can only take out some land from time to time and sell it to the government at a low price to support the government's urban development strategy. This model is also good, and the royal family can recover some money. Secondly, it can also increase fiscal revenue for the government. Finally, real estate can also increase the value of ordinary people's assets. The royal family is also happy to use the land to engage in real estate and speculate on land prices. The royal family can realize the appreciation of land by holding land, so it benefits in many aspects. The only people who feel that they are losing are those who buy commercial houses at high prices, and most of the buyers of commercial houses are foreigners. In Xinhan, as long as you invest in commercial houses and the price reaches 1 million yuan, and you live in Xinhan for 5 years, you can obtain Xinhan permanent resident status. It seems simple, but there are also restrictions. Black people are not allowed. Not satisfied? Go and sue, and say that discrimination is okay. Xinhan does not intend to do business with black people at all. Unlike naturalized Xinhan citizens, people who obtain permanent residence do not enjoy any preferential policies of the Xinhan government, such as medical treatment. Opening permanent residence is also to increase the labor force and promote the development of cities and the economy. Of course, permanent residents who want to become naturalized in Xinhan need to live for 8 years, and then be politically reviewed by the Immigration Department of the Ministry of the Interior, and the number of places is limited each year, less than 1,000. The purpose of doing this is to prevent too many foreign immigrants from causing the royal family's influence and authority to decline. After all, these outsiders, unlike the locals, are highly loyal to the royal family. Not everyone in the world is as obedient as the dragons, and does not cause trouble. That day, Xiao Yunhai received a call from Wei Mingji of Qilin Company. The prototype has been developed. Upon hearing the news, Xiao Yunhai immediately put down his work and rushed to Qilin Company with Lin Na. Not to the factory, but to the central office building of Chang'an. That is, Xinghan Chang'an Center. Your Highness. Wei Mingji saw Xiao Yunhai's car stopped, and respectfully stepped forward and took the initiative to open the back door. Warmly welcomed Xiao Yunhai. The two shook hands and exchanged a few words. Xiao Yunhai suggested to see the prototype. Your Highness, please come in. The group took the elevator. They arrived at the meeting room on the floor where Wei Mingji was. There were 2 boxes on the table. Is this a prototype? Xiao Yunhai picked up a box that had not been disassembled yet, and the box was printed with a picture of the phone's appearance. The metal frame used in the appearance is very similar to the appearance of the unreleased Apple 4S, but the screen is much longer. Yes, Your Highness, this is a prototype that has been produced and has passed all tests perfectly. Xiao Yunhai nodded. Can it be disassembled and experienced? Of course. Hearing this, Xiao Yunhai tore open the outer packaging and took out the phone from the box. It was a full-size screen. The body was black, and the frame was made of silver metal. The body was very thin, and the home button was directly cancelled. This was definitely an innovation at the moment. Most of the current mobile phones also have keyboards. In addition, the buttons on both sides of the body were redesigned, and the appearance was not copied from the original Apple mobile phone. From the appearance point of view, it looked more atmospheric and upscale than the Apple 4S to be released this year, especially the full touchscreen design, which is quite rare. Press the start button. OJ. Accompanied by a drop of water and a pleasant sound, the black screen appeared a startup animation, and a running unicorn rushed into the sky. The unicorn is a symbol of auspicious beasts, representing good luck. After starting, enter the system introduction page and follow the instructions. After selecting the Chinese language, follow the operation for a while. Then, enter the official interface of the phone. There are still few icons, only some simple basic applications. Basic applications like dialing, SMS, camera, weather, calendar, etc. However, there is an app store. After connecting to the internet, I clicked to open the app store and looked through it carefully. There are about 200 or 300 applications. This is the advantage of using Android. The more users and developers there are, the more applications there are. King Zhao's. Don't worry about the lack of applications. I downloaded a software at random and tested its fluency. It was very smooth without any lag. This made Xiao Yunhai very satisfied. Can users install applications directly without going through the App Store? Your Highness, are you talking about external application installation?
Yes.
It can be done at the system level. The current version does not do it. If necessary, this function can be added in subsequent system upgrades. Then prohibit external application installation. Users must download applications from the App Store. My suggestion in the early stage is not to charge any handling fees. After there are tens of millions of Kirin mobile phone users, consider charging application developers a handling fee. The App Store is a big piece of meat. Apple makes more money from this piece of meat every year than from selling mobile phones. Moreover, prohibiting the installation of external programs can also prevent some rogue software from being illegally installed. If you do this, it may lead to the need to recruit a large number of people to review applications, which will increase the company's operating expenses. Wei Mingji reminded. Xiao Yunhai nodded. I know. This matter needs to be viewed from 2 aspects. Although it increases operating costs, it can also increase the revenue of the App Store. At most, it will cost money in the early stage. After the operation is started, the income will definitely be greater than the expenditure. Moreover, this can also create some jobs. In general, I think the benefits outweigh the disadvantages. Wei Mingji nodded and no longer raised any objections. Xiao Yunhai opened the settings and checked the configuration of the phone. The memory is 32G. The camera, 5 million pixels in the front and 8 million pixels in the back. The running memory is 1G. This configuration is absolutely awesome in this era. Is this a high-end configuration? Your Highness, it is a high-end configuration. How much does it cost? How do you plan to price it? Xiao Yunhai asked a very critical question. As for the cost, thanks to the CPU, battery, and display screen that we own, the cost can be reduced a lot. The cost of producing a high-end version is 600 Han Yuan.
Thanks for watching. You can find the next videos in the playlist linked in the info card, directly on my channel, or right here on the screen. And as always, if you have any feedback, feel free to share it in the comments too.